right, guys, we are officially starting the event. Guys, welcome to the Olvia Academy live training, the Zero to Hero event. The intent behind today's event is to get players who perhaps do not know the way to reach the end game because the game is large and ambiguous, right? It's to get those players to understand the path to get to the end game. The way the training is going to be set up is we're going to start at the final end game items, and then we're going to work our way backwards to the beginning so you can see where you're at. Maybe you're like, maybe you've got halfway there and you don't really know where to go next. We'll start at the end state and work our way backwards for each of these training events. I invite you guys to ask questions during the question portion after every segment. We will stop and ask you guys for questions. And just so you guys understand, the lessons are going to look like this. It's going to be pets, covered by Chrysidra, contribution points, covered by Chrysidra, weapons, covered by J-Kun, Reforge Stones, covered by myself, armor, covered by Chrysidra, artifacts and Lightstones, covered by myself, accessories, covered by J-Kun, crystals, which I will cover, Alchemy Stones, which J-Kun will cover, weekly activities. This includes things like weekly quests, weekly boss rushes, weekly rift bosses, things like that, covered by Chrysidra. And then I will do some additional closeout topics where I will talk about the all-in-one UI, quick keys, the dream and mythical horses, PvE buffs, PvP buffs, and special item resources, such as improved versions of like Wheel Tendons, Immortal Drafts. All right, guys. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and begin. I am Zeroden. I am a warrior streamer. I do mostly PvP content, but I do some PvE stuff too. I kind of dabble in a little bit of everything. So if you've never been here before and you're not familiar with who I am, I just kind of my objective in Black Desert Online is always to aim for the most fun. I always have this saying that if I'm having the most fun, then I'm winning Black Desert Online. And that is the objective you should always approach the game with. Are you having the most fun? If you are having the most fun, then you're winning. If you're not having the most fun, then you're losing. So with that being said, that's me. Let me go ahead and introduce Chrysidra. Chrysidra.
Hello, I'm Chrysidra. I am actually Zeroden's real life spouse. We've been playing BDO since about 2016. I've been maining a Succession Nova since it came out about 7 years ago now. My main task that I enjoy doing on stream is questing. I love leveling new characters, experiencing different storylines. I love the new content. I go over the same content over and over again with everybody. I like bringing the joy of questing to you guys, which I understand the R spam, I do. But I do think there's a lot of really great stuff in there that you're missing, and I try and bring that to you in a more digestible way. The other stuff I enjoy, just positive vibes and fun energy as well. I'm all about enjoying a game because it's fun. Sometimes I do some variety content, but yeah, that's pretty much me, I think.
Hello. Yes. For those who may not know me, my name is J-Kun VT, V before the T, and I've been playing Black Desert for over 8 years now. I started in 2018. Throughout that time, I've spent 4 years maining Witch and another 4 years maining Wusa. And recently, I've been diving to a bunch of new classes to expand my knowledge of the game further. I post a lot of my video content on YouTube, so it's the same handle. It's J-Kun VT. But yeah, today I'm really excited to share some of that experience with you all in this fun, welcoming, interactive environment. And yeah, I think we've got a great lineup planned today. And thank you again to Zeroden and Chris for inviting me. Yeah, let's get started.
Okay. With that being said, the first topic is going to be covered by Chrysidra, which is pets.
All right, guys, I'm going to be covering pets. Pets are a core part of grinding efficiency in BDO. You don't have one, you gotta mainly go pick up everything. All pets up pick up one item every 2.5 to 10 seconds, depending on their tier, within a 10-meter radius. Pets have to be fed using their looting abilities and skills but they cannot die, which is good for us because I know a lot of you guys forget to feed your pets. The food can be purchased from a stable keeper NPC, or you can gain them through quests or crafting through cooking, or even the pearl shop. Pets also have special abilities, talents, and skills to help aid you in your adventure. The talent skill depends on the appearance of the pet. The special skill depends on the type of pet, but it can be locked to a specific appearance as well. And those are things that are stated when you first get the pet. The skills are randomly selected and start with with 1 skill at tier 1 and 2, 2 at tier 3, 3 at tier 4 and 5. They can be re-rolled or locked when exchanging, except at tier 5. And you can also re-roll with them when using a pet skill change coupon. I have an example of all the skills. So as you can see here, the amount of skills you have per tier. And then these are all the randomly generated skills you can roll for each tier of pet. So luck +1, combat experience, karma recovery, fishing +1. All of these are stackable as well. So if you're really looking to maximize certain buffs, like say AFK combat training, then you're going to want to try and roll as many pets with certain skills as possible. Getting into endgame, you're going to be looking at tier 5 pets. Tier 5 pets reduce the looting cooldown for all of your active pets by 15%, and it upgrades 1 special talent skill by 1 level for the leader pet specifically. It's also known as the alpha or pack leader pet. Only 1 tier 5 pet can be active at a time. Any other tier 5 pets that you have will have their tier 4 stats. So you can't have tier 5 stats on multiple pets, even though you have them leveled up to tier 5. Tier 5 pets cannot be exchanged, and their skills cannot be changed once they're tier 5. So really make sure that that's something you want to do with that pet before you do that. For my pets, for example, I have a tier 5 Garmoth pet, and that's because at tier 5, I get 125 HP rather than 100 HP. This can actually be super handy in PvP if you're a PvPer. So in order to make a tier 5 pet, you need to have a tier 4 pet. You need to be at least level 50 on your character, and also make sure that your quest for life skilling is turned on. Then you're going to accept the pet domestic squabbles quest from the Black Spirit, and you're going to craft a royal plume, which takes 40 magical shards, 10 growth reagents that you purchase from Old Moon managers, and 800 fine lightweight plumes, which you can use by filtering feathers from like Faricas and Farinas in Navarran Steppe, or cuckoo birds, which you can find in Calphion, Serendia, and also in Kama Sylvia as well. After that, after you have the tier 4 pet checked in and the royal plume in your inventory, you can talk to certain NPCs that offer tier 5 pet training. These NPCs, there's Olvia in Velia, Melissa Brady or Puya in Heidel, Farizio in Calphion, Drosh in Altanova, and Obi Bellin in Old Wisdom Tree. The UI for upgrading these pets looks like this. The tier 4 pet, the royal plume, and then it'll show you what their talent will be upgraded to as far as you are able to see here. Yeah. And then in order to select that pet as a leader pet, you're going to select the crown icon. You have to check it in, right? This is my looting tier 5 pet. If I want to change this to my leader, I can click the crown. It'll become the leader, and then I can take it out, and it'll now be the leader pet of this group. As far as pets go, there are some unique pets, only available through special events or rare drops, Pearl Shop promotions. These pets have unique talents, such as weight increase, auto fishing time reduction, increased item drop rate, extra HP, mount XP boosting, ship inventory weight, and bonus proc chance from gathering. Some of these skills will not stack with multiples of the same thing, such as gathering proc chance or auto fishing time reduction. There are also some pets that you can only have one of out at a time. For example, cuckoo birds or penguin, though you can have 5 pets active at once. In order to increase the tiers of pets up to tier 4, there are 5 types of pets: classic, rare, premium, special, and event. Only pets of the same type can be used to enhance a pet to a higher tier, and they must be the same tier or higher to be exchanged for a chance for a higher, same tier or lower. An exception to this rule is the Wizard Gosfey pet, which can be used for almost all types and tiers, which is why they do not have a type, and they do not get exchanged up higher than tier 1. You cannot exchange a Wizard Gosfey pet with another Wizard Gosfey, a young Crimson Dragon, which comes from Garmoth, a new Vermon, which comes from the Nuvaricant crafting, and a Pitapat Mole, which comes from farming. Those are some exclusive unique pets that can only be exchanged with themselves. You can exchange up to 5 pets for a chance at a higher tier pet. You can also use the exchange option to change the appearance of your higher tier pet with a lower tier, typically for a skill associated with the appearance of a different pet. For example, if you have a tier 4 burb and you want a tier 4 hedgehog instead that's only tier 1, you can exchange them together and have the hedgehog take on the tier 4. It's a rather fast way to level up something that you really want in exchange for something that you just had for the time. The higher the tier of pets exchanged, the higher the chance of upgrading the tier. For example, with a chance of a tier 4, with a tier 1 and a tier 3 is only 15%, but with 2 tier 3s is 35%. Using a wizard Gosby is the most efficient way to push for higher tiers without using up all your higher tier pets. For example, 1 tier 3 pet with 4 tier 1 wizard Gosbys will make your chance of a tier 4 80%. A note about pets is some pets have bonus appearances that you can use the pet appearance change coupon to see. You can see the different appearance in the Pearl shop or by using the coupon and checking out the available options. For example, I have one here. So as for this bird, for example, I can click through and see the other appearances available. I have an otter here I can look at, my hedgehog. There's some cute little outfits and stuff you can put on your pets. If you're not sure what a pet appearances look like from the Pearl shop, if you open it up and go to the pets category, for example, we look at Fluffy here. On the bottom right, there is a check appearance option, and you can actually see what the other options are. You can see what kind of animations that pet has, some really cute ones in there for you to check out if that's something that you're interested in.
I was just going to say that I didn't know you could change any pet to any type of like different appearance, even if it's not the same. Like it used to be, you can only, that's a change. It used to be you can only change like parrots to other parrots, right? I didn't realize you could change them to anything.
As long as they're the same type. Remember, the exchange option is within types. So classic, for example, would be like ducks, cats, dogs. A lot of those are in the rabbit is actually a classic category. So as long as they're in the same type, then you can use the appearance of a different type, a different pet in that same category.
Yeah, that's good to know.
As for getting pets, you can acquire pets from the Pearl shop, or if any happen to be sold on the Central Market. Other than that, there are pets made available from events, special coupon codes, or rare drops as well. The best way to get started is free pets available from quests and adventure logs and journals. You get a free pet once per family at the end of the main quest line for Balanos, Serendia, Calpheon. You can actually get those 3 by choosing the Mount of Eternal Winter instead, if you want to take that route. Media and Valencia also has pets at the end of their main story quests. You also get a pet for finishing the Cycrea dungeon questline, completing Book 2 of Deve's Journal, and finishing Volume 9 of the Eyes of Adventure Journal. Garmoth has a chance of dropping a Garmoth's horn that you can exchange for a young Crimson Dragon, as I showed you. You can obtain the New Vermont pet by completing the Nuvericant armor and helmet. You have to do both, and it's very expensive, in-game at least. And then there's the Pitapat Mole by gathering 10 Pitapat petals from playful Pitapat moles that you get while farming. The Season Seals, Seal of Journey, gives you 2 choose-your-own pet choices as well. So if you're doing seasons, which I highly recommend you do. Anyways, you can see that you have a choose your pet box. Oh, it only takes 50 seals, and you can exchange to choose one of 6 pets twice. So that's 2 pets right there. There's the current event as well, the Remnant of Distortion that's active right this moment, and you can get a Heyte from that as well. You can buy a Cuckoo pet from the loyalty shop. Again, just be reminded that the Cuckoo is one, you can only have one out at a time. Here it is. Here's your little Cuckoo pet. Costs 5,000 loyalties. You get a free pet once you've played on your BDO account for at least 5,000 hours. So that makes 15 pets you get for free just by playing the game. That doesn't include any event rewards. So if you play the game, do the quests, you just are active and enjoying the game, you're going to be given a lot of pets for you to get started with. The last thing I wanted to make a quick note of that a lot of people don't know is in the pet UI, if you want to change the activity level of your pets quickly, you can right-click the pet command button here, and it will change the activity level for all of your pets in that group all at once. So it's a quick way for you to switch activity levels instead of having to do them all individually, which you can still do as well. And with that, I think I covered pretty much everything about pets. Okay, so someone asked if they lose their talents when changing appearance. Their unique talent is linked to the appearance, so yes. So if, for example, I change a hedgehog into a Heyte, I will lose the item drop chance the gathering proc chance and gain the mountain experience instead. So it's really important for you to keep that in mind when choosing your appearance. Another person asked, do they loot faster if you turn off the activity? Yes. So it does increase the amount of how active they are when looting, but it also drains their hunger meter faster. So the information of a tier 1 pet, for example, I have this one here. So like I said, a tier 1 pet will have special skill. It'll have its talent, which on this cat is finding special resources. It'll ping resources on your map. It'll have just the special skills that it rolls at the very beginning. Life skill comes as part of the appearance, and then the trading XP is what I rolled as a random chance.
Before Chris answers the next one on stream, I'm going to make the comments that are happening in game. Jolis, I think that's how you say his name, says you can only have 5 active pets at a time, and it's always to your benefit to tier them up. And one of the other questions we got from Junath is there a cap of any skills on the pets, or can you stack as much as you want? That is actually a good question for Chris, and I will let her answer that.
So it depends on the skill. Like I said, some skills do not stack. Some do. For example, weight gain does stack. A combat experience does stack. And you can actually see the applied stats here, just in case you're not sure. Auto fishing does not stack. Gathering proc chance does not stack. So if you have a fluffy llama, hedgehog, they do not stack.
Chris, if you click on the, you see that paw icon or the pet in between the, the 3 icons in the bottom right of the pet? You click on the paw. You can actually see the loot time right there. For anybody who is doubting. Do you have the leader active? I think it should reduce it even further if you have a leader active.
I do not have a leader active, so I will turn one on.
Yeah, make the Garmoth a leader, and you'll see that it actually drops even further. You should make any of them a leader for tier 5.
Okay, so let's make it active. Check 1.87.
And then check the paw icon.
Yeah.
There you go. Even further.
Dang, that is nice. This is why I love events like this, is because even though we're all veteran BDO players, one thing I've realized is that the veteran players, there's things that you don't know that might seem basic. I'll give you a great example. I think there was one time where Chris activated all her pets into aggressive by right-clicking. I'm like, how did you just do that? And then she was like, what do you mean? You just right-click one, it does them all. I was like, what? I've been doing them all manually for years. And then there was another time with workers that I was able to promote multiple workers at the same time. She's like, how did you do that? You promote as many as you want at the same time. Just kind of interesting things that all these things always teach us. You always learn a little thing or two, even if you're a veteran player.
Yeah, another thing was if you're in a party or platoon, if you right-click the person's name in your party or platoon, it actually pings where they are on your map.
Oh, I did not know that.
Little things like that. Yeah.
Oh my
Little
God,
things like that
okay.
actually are really handy, but you kind of just learn as you go, and there's not really a place to go to be like, hey, what is a bunch of information that I've never used? We learn things today. Woo! All right. Is there any other questions I might have missed? Is it not useful to have 2 polar bears? If you want the weight gain, the auto fishing will not be useful though. So you can actually technically just have a bunch of sooty Rorys instead, for example, which have the weight gain without the auto fishing. The mentor program gives a pet. I did not know that actually. I haven't done the mentor program, but that is really good to know. Thank you so much for that, Zawek. The pets loot random. They loot within that 10-meter radius, so they will try and gather from closest to furthest, and then they'll come in and have their cooldown of, like you saw, 1.8 seconds at fastest, and then go back out. So there are still some places out there you will grind that you might have to linger to loot everything. You're just gonna have to kind of pay attention at the start of your grind whether or not you're actually picking everything up. Birds loot faster than non-birds?
So they actually have double the loot distance, but double the cooldown. So here, I'm gonna screenshot it in Discord. This is what my JoJo pet looks like with the tier 5 pet.
I'll pull it up on my screen so everybody can see it. Hold on. All right, so here's the image that he shared with us.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is with my tier 5 pet active, all on agile. It's double the loot cooldown, but it is double the distance. So this is actually very useful in places like Ezrahid Highlands, where you have to move around a large area, but you're kind of standing still as well.
That's really good to know. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So the JoJo pet and the
Paturum pet also does it. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a third one, but I know those 2 for sure.
That's really cool information, and yeah, definitely not something that you could find easily.
With that, we are closing up the pets topic and moving on to the next topic, which is led by, once again, Chrysidra, correct?
Yep, still me. You're not done with me yet. All right, the next topic is contribution points. This is probably one of the most complex topics, and There's going to be a lot of recommendation for you to go and look in depth if this is something that you really want to get into. Min-maxing contribution points are a family-wide stat that can be used to invest in nodes, housing or workshops, and rentable items. There's an award medal shaped icon. It's up at the top of your screen next to your energy here. If you hover over it, you can actually see your current usage for contribution points, as well as it notifies you that XP greatly diminishes after 600. If you left click it, it'll actually pull up your investments. You can see where all of your points are being spent and how they're being spent, node investments, or even if you have items rent. Contributions points are gained by earning contribution point experience. This can be earned through completing quests or by exchanging life skill byproduct. Almost all quests reward contribution experience. If you go to your quest window, you can select the recurring tab and you'll see several areas designated specifically to contribution. You can see down here, they're all labeled for you. It even separates it all by area. So if you're really looking to maximize your contribution points and you want to go through an area, make a rotation, you can actually gain a lot of contribution points just from repeatable quests. Most of these are dailies too. So you can, if this is how you want to spend your time, you really are looking to get a certain contribution number, then this is a good place to start. There are also weekly quests available once you're level 49 plus for life skilling. You do have to be 56 plus level for the combat or subjugation weekly quests. And you have to be within a specific range of contribution points, which is 220 to 349. Once you hit 350, these quests become unavailable. I'm not sure if they've changed that yet. I couldn't find anywhere if they had updated that, but feel free to let me know. I am past that point, so I couldn't see the quest myself. Something to note is there are adventure tomes you can equip that will increase the amount of contribution experience you gain from quests. One of them is the Elion Tome of the Sun, and the other is the Kaffir's Journal of Glory. Unfortunately, I picked the life skill one, so I don't have that one to show you. But this one gives you 10%, and the Kaffir's Journal gives you 20%, but will not apply to the weekly subjugation quests. So you do not get bonus contribution experience using those tomes specifically for the contribution or for the subjugation quest, which it does tell you there. And they also will not apply to byproduct turn-ins. So if you're turning in those discarded glass bottles and such, it will not give you bonus contribution experience from those. The fastest method to increase your contribution points is AFK fishing, combined where you get the discarded glass bottles as a byproduct, combined with cooking cheap recipes with over 2k mastery for the witch's delicacies, which is the byproduct of cooking. And lastly, the farming for blush leaves, which is the byproduct of farming, about 2 or 3 times a day. And the best way of getting blush leaves from farming would be breeding magical seed. Those 3 methods will maximize your contribution gain every day, the minimal amount of effort. Contribution points help to increase town storage capacity. By clicking on a node, if there are white houses shown, you can change that location used to storage. So for example, here in Velia, you can see there are a bunch of little white houses here. These are houses you can invest in. Blue houses are ones you can invest as well. Gray houses means that you need to invest in the prior house in order to unlock that house's capability. There's actually a really, really good post on the forum that I found for storage investment. I'm going to link it in chat here. This actually breaks down the most cost-effective way to increase storage for each city and area. So if you're really looking to min-max your time, your contribution points, check that link out. Contributing to buildings in towns or nearby nodes can unlock increased stable capacity, more worker lodgings, workshops to craft all kinds of items, crate packaging for life skills, or even just a residence for you to decorate and use for your own life skilling or buffing purposes. Keep in mind that the maximum amount of residents you can own in Black Desert is 5, unless you do quests to increase that total to 7. The 6th resident slot requires 2,000 interior points across your existing residences, and then you talk to Igor Bartali in Velia. The 7th resident slot requires 30,000 interior points across your residences, and then you visit the innkeeper at the Golden Toad Inn in Heidel. Something to note as well is that manors count as 2 residents instead of 1, meaning you can only have 3 manors at most and 1 additional residence if you've unlocked the 7 residence limit. Contribution points also allow you to invest in nodes. Once you invest in a node, certain options become available. You can choose to connect another node, invest in resource nodes. You can send workers special investment nodes, purchase certain workshops or special types of housing available in that node, invest in increased drops for grinding in that node area, or use it to connect another reach. This is a big thing to note for grinding specifically. If you're looking to grind a specific node, say Ash Forest, you can pull up your Monster Zone info, and on the right here, you'll see node investment benefits. It'll tell you the node that will boost your drop rate in that specific grind zone, and then you're going to want to look for that node and make sure you level it up to 20 maximum. And that will give you a 10% additional drop rate. Connecting nodes do not affect selling fish, but it does affect trading if you want to maximize selling trade crates or items in the Land of Morning Light Royal Workshops. As far as I know, the trade life skill is still in need of a revamp and largely defunct, but it is just something to note that connecting nodes does increase your profit from that. You can connect a node by interacting with the node manager, or you can do it remotely, but it costs 10 energy. So as you can see, I have 732. If I, for example, want to invest in Whale Farm, I can click on the node, I can click Invest Contribution, and it tells you that it takes 10 energy for remote investment. It does not take any energy to withdraw investment, so only investing in nodes costs energy. There are tons of guides online on how to use workers to make money. There's also sites like WorkerMan, which can recommend best nodes, workers, and routes for the best profit. If that's something you're interested in, I have the link for that here, and I'll put it in chat. It's a very in-depth website that they put together for investing in nodes, so definitely check it out if you're interested. You can also Google many guides where people teach you how to use that website properly, and also how they choose to set up their worker empire. Renting items is something you can use contribution points for as well. I enjoy having a flute and drum to play around with, and the flute gives you the silly rat quest in some towns. The main thing that people rent with contribution points is farm fencing from certain vendors and node manager NPCs, or a storage container from any main town storage keeper. You can use the find NPC function up here, and you could actually even just type it in. Say, for example, you want to rent a drum. You could search, there you go, flute. All right. Search for the flute, and it'll show you all of the places where you can rent a flute in the whole map. You can also look up a farm fence, so example, a fence. It'll show you all the places you can rent a fence and how much it'll cost you. So you can actually search where you can rent things as well as click on them to navigate to them if you need to. Something I'm not super knowledgeable about is about contribution points, but does exist is special investment banking. So if you click on a major town, for example, you'll see these special investment banks. They look like they have little gold bars, right? In order to use these, you need to have a rank 1 residence in that area just to use this. Home ranking is based off of the value of items you have in your home. It can take a different kind of investing to reach rank 1, aka some real-life monetary investments. It's a rather insignificant rate of monetary exchange from what I've found through my research. We're talking in terms of maybe a couple millions over a few days, when most of you guys are grinding in the billions per hour. So it's kind of a antiquated system.
So there is a thing that I wanted to cover earlier called legacy systems. And this is what is considered a legacy system. So I'll just go over it now. A legacy system is something that basically no longer has value in the current meta of the game at a significant level. You can still do it, it just doesn't really retain its value. So you might hear us mention this is a legacy system from time to time. So if something is considered a legacy system, it's just because it's antiquated. It does not really, it's still in the game, but it doesn't really factor in a lot anymore. It's just, you can do it, it's just not worth your time.
Yeah, so this is definitely one of those systems that still exists. It is relevant to contribution points, so I thought I would at least bring it up. We're specifically talking about contribution point stuff here, guys. So the last part is that contribution points can be a very valuable asset for people looking to find new ways to gain income in BDO, or those more heavily invested in life skilling and decorating their home or manor. To get the best understanding, I cannot understate the value of many guides out there. So make sure they're at least within the last year so that they're up to date and the information is the most correct. There's tons of amazing content creators that cover different ways for you to use contribution points properly, such as using for Imperial trade. It depends on how many contribution points you currently have as a total, stuff like that. So definitely use those resources available to you, and hopefully that information I gave you is helpful.
Guys, there's going to be a lot of things we talk about today. And instructors, this is for you guys as well. When something that we are talking about is available on the marketplace, make sure you guys say this is also available for purchase in the marketplace. So not just how we get it, but be like, if you would like to, because we want to offer them the opportunity and knowledge to get them through the multiple paths. So like, for example, if it's a weapon and you can get that on the marketplace, be like, you can buy this weapon on the marketplace, but this is how you craft it, blah, 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 blah. And then if we get to the next step, you can also buy this in the marketplace, but this is how you craft it, and then so on and so forth. All right, guys, now is the time to ask your questions. So any questions you have about the section regarding specifically contribution points, any tips from veteran players, this is the time to put it in so Chrysidra can read it aloud for everybody.
What do you recommend at first? I did link, the first link in chat is recommended the most efficient ways to spend your contribution points in storage. That is definitely the number one way I would recommend you spend your points. Secondly, if you choose to do life skilling, it would be in fences. Those are an excellent way to get started with farming and getting those blush leaves, and a good idle way for you to get contribution experience.
Additionally, if you're not really sure how to use contribution points, I'm going to transition over to my scene real quick. I'm going to show you guys something cool. So this is how I like to use contribution points. Okay. So contribution points typically work like this. You want to go over to a node that has something of value, right? And if you go, I'm using Edania as an example because this is a lot of really easily valued nodes. This is where worker and contribution come into play, but you got to examine the value of what a node produces and the frequency of which it produces it. So a great example here would be vanadium ore. Vanadium ore doesn't seem like it's that valuable, right? 9,350 until you have 20,000 of them. And then you can sell them on the marketplace for like 500 million silver. And you could do this ad nauseum because the game is going to continue to collect these things for you as long as it's open. So while you're AFK fishing, you can earn additional silver, use your contribution points. Contribution points are basically unreclaimed money. You can always use these to earn you silver in the interim. And I'll show you a great example of this. Let's go to my Velia storage. So looking at my Velia storage, you can see I have a bunch of really valuable resources here in massive quantities. These large quantities are what you sell for. So right here in my marketplace value, in this one tab, in this one storage, I have about 15 billion silver of unrealized gains. And that's unrealized gains. That's not including if I crafted these crystals of decimation into brutal decimations that sell for about 2 to 3 billion silver each. These things become very valuable. You do this passively.
Like I said, I linked the Workerman thing. It actually breaks down market value of every item and every node. So you can actually see where the most worthwhile gatherable materials are, and it changes with market price value. So if you want to stay on top of nodes and value for your worker empire, that's a really, really excellent website for you to check out. And I recommend you do that too, Zeroden.
No.
Another thing someone in chat asked, in-game chat, AFK fishing bottles, do those stop giving contribution points at a certain point? They do not. It's just that it exponentially increases the amount of experience that you need to get to the next contribution point, more specifically as you get closer to 550, 600. Prioritize trace nodes. They're like 200,000 on EU or NA at all time and have a high buyout every day, meaning a lot of people want them, yes. For Kazahid, the linking nodes does not contribute to fish profit any longer. They did change that. It's only a max distance of, I think, 130%. Having the nodes connected no longer affects fishing, only trade. Again, I did mention this earlier. Another really good way to spend contribution points is investing in the nodes you're grinding in. So if you're grinding there, invest in that node, get it to 20, get the extra drop rate. It'll just increase your efficiency and the time you're already spending there. Yeah, no problem, Kazuhi. That's kind of why we're doing this. There's a lot of stuff that has been updated and changed over time, and it's kind of really scattered in a lot of different places. We're trying to put it all in one place for you guys, either new or returning players, or even players who have been here for a while who might learn something new. Sodium asks, for worker products, does it matter if you eat the no VP tax? Are you talking about selling them on the central marketplace? If so, I think that you're selling them in small enough portions to where it's not a huge impact. There's actually several guides out there of free-to-play players who do not use value packs, and life skilling is one of the most recommended ways to make money in BDO other than grinding as a free-to-play player. You can make node connection automatic. Yes, there is a way to pull up node connections from one location to another. There is a special UI now where you can connect them.
Okay, let me scroll up here. So Monkey's family says, It is. So is it definitely worth level 20ing certain nodes? Does that change the quantity that your workers get, or is that only open world? That is only for the drop rate of where you're grinding. But I believe that does not really affect node workers, if I'm not mistaken. It should just be for the drop. And if you're wondering what node affects where things drop, there's actually a menu called the Monster Zone Info. And then if you just go to, yeah, Alchemy is fine. So if you look on the top right, there's like a little bag icon, right? The little glowing bag icon.
With a percent next to it.
Yeah, you see the 0.5% on Alchemy. So for you, you have the node at level, is that just one?
Yeah, let me use one that I have.
Yeah.
Let me use one that I have upgraded. So like, let's go to Idania, for example.
So definitely 100% worth it, Monkey, to get that going. That does go over the drop rate cap, for anybody was wondering.
There you go. And so Zathmi says you can also click the Monster Zone icons on the map to open the menu. That's true. You can find that on the map as well. Whichever way is easiest for you to get to.
I always find sometimes it's a little finicky clicking it on the map. Sometimes it tries to navigate you there, which can be annoying. So the Monster Zone Info is kind of like my go-to tool. I have it pinned. You can search for specific items. You can search for nodes. You can see if what your stats are compared to the area, what type of monster it is. There's just so much really, really good information in there.
The one thing that I would really point out, especially for you grinders that are getting used to grinding zones, typically you want to max out your resistances. So while we're on this page, one thing I want you to pay attention to is this. See, it says knockdown bound. That's telling you, like, for example, if I'm in Olin's Valley on Dekia 1, knockdown bound is the type of resistance I want to build for. Now, if I go to Orzekia, it's the same thing. Knockdown bound is the type I want to build for. But let's say I go to Sakraya, right? That will change. So being aware of, like, oh, what type of CC do these monsters produce? This is going to help you understand that. So for here, it's like knockback and floating. So if you go out there with your knockdown bound crystals, you're gonna get knocked around and lose some crystals, and you're not gonna be very happy with yourself. All right. Moving on from contribution points, we'll be moving over to our boy J-Kun, who will be covering weapons.
Yes. Okay, let me share my screen here. And I have more of like a PowerPoint presentation thing going on for my lesson.
Fancy.
Just let me know once you're. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
2 seconds.
It's kind of scuffed. It's kind of scuffed, to be honest.
I hope it's as scuffed and noob as possible, because that would just make it amazing.
Lock in. Go for it.
Welcome to my class, everybody. On weapons
Introduce yourself.
So, yes, my name is Jake and BT. I do a lot of BDO stuff. Yeah. Okay. Here's my class. Up until now, we've been talking about systems that, support your account overall with the pets and contribution. But now we're getting into one of the biggest sources of power progression in BDO, your weapons, right? So there are 3 main types of weapons: main hand, awakening, and your sub weapon. Which one matters the most depends on what you play, Succession or Awakening. Succession players should prioritize their main hand first, Awakening players should prioritize their Awakening first, and sub-weapons provide damage for both specs as well as some defensive stats. So when you're starting out, you're most likely going to be a seasonal character, right? A little Tuvala Timmy, right? Tuvala weapons will be your go-to during the seasons. These are extremely easy to upgrade to pen. You just raw dog it all the way, to be honest. You just do it with the materials you're given. And if you're a brand new player, I also recommend getting to at least level 61 and either finishing the simplified quest line, or if you took the regular questing route to quest up to Medea quest line, which is doing Balanos, Serendia, or Calphion regions. There's some other prerequisites too that are alternatives, like doing the Land of Morning Light quest line or the Mountains of Eternal Winter quest line if you had chosen those as your starting zones.
One thing I do want to interrupt with real quick,
go ahead.
Is guys, when he says raw dogging, just to be very clear for those new players, what he is specifically talking about is not using cron stones.
No crons. Don't use cron stones. It's not worth it. Yeah. Just tap it all the way, and even no stacks too. That's also one of my raw dog. No stacks, no crons. It's easy, just like tap it all the way. You might fail a couple times, but it's still worth it to not use any additional materials to get them up to pen. So once you finish your quest lines and level 61, you should be able to get a free pen black star from your Y tab. It is your challenge tab, to be specific. It should be, you might have a lot of stuff in there if you haven't claimed anything, but this should be one of the options once you've gotten those prerequisites. You should also, once you do graduate, you'll be able to enroll into the Olvia Academy. And I believe, if I remember correctly, there was this icon. It looks like this icon right here on the top left. It should be like green and bright. Once you click that, it should lead you towards the Olvia Academy. And once you enroll there, start off by talking to Cliff. He should be located in actually where we are standing right now in game. It's in this battle arena looking area, and he'll tell you to do some basic combat stuff and send you off to kill some mobs. I'm not going to go into detail. It's very straightforward. Just do his quests until you finish the entire combat section. I think overall it took me about like 1.5-ish hours to complete. Maybe it might take you a little bit longer, maybe 2 to 3 hours if you're not very familiar with the questing system in BDO, because if you're a brand new player, it can be a little bit confusing at times for exactly what you're supposed to do. But you'll receive a ton of stuff like Cron Stones, Essence of Dawns, other materials, but most notably another Choose Your Pen Blackstar box, right? So along with that, you should be getting also, I don't know if I have the image here, but it should be in your Y tab as well. You should get a Tet Blackstar. I think I scrolled back too much down, but there should be a Tet Blackstar somewhere up here. And then also a Dark Star Blackstone that guarantees another enhancement to Pen Blackstar. So at this point, you should have 3 Pen Blackstars, one in the main hand, one in the Awakening, and one in the off hand. And then from here, you have a couple different choices to progress to the next step, which is Sovereign Weapons. So the first method requires another Pen Blackstar. You can buy these actually off the market for about 20 billion silver, which I feel like is fairly easy these days to save up. It's, maybe if you're new, look a little bit daunting seeing the billions of silver, but they just hand you free money these days. So another way is the Decatuvala system. If you have the seasonal graduation cap in your inventory, you must have it in your inventory. There should be a black spirit quest called Leveling Aid Fugar's Aid, this one right here, and that should lead you to talking to Fugar, who is located at the stable keeper of most major cities. So in Heidel, I think Fugar is in the southern stable of Heidel, and he'll provide you with an Essence of Ascent. It looks like this yellow stone right here. And then that will allow you to upgrade your Pen Tuvala into a Hex Tuvala, which you can then upgrade it up to deck. I think on average it should be about 15, maybe potentially 20 bill to craft, but if you do happen to be very unlucky and pity every single attempt, it should be about 40 bill worth of materials. One thing to compare is the cost of the price on the market is 20 bill, and this system, I don't know if it's maybe considered a legacy system at this point. It's still kind of like you can kind of still do it and it'd be worth it if you're lucky and maybe get it for under 10 bill, but if you do get unlucky, you'll pay more than what the cost of the market is. But before, a while back, they were actually about 70 to 80 bill. Way back when, back before the Olvia Academy, these were really high up. I think cap is about 99 bill, but yeah, these Pen Blackstars were really pricey, and so this system was actually a really nice system for getting your Pen Blackstar really cheap. And now it's kind of like one or the other, right? For getting another Pen Blackstar. So, whatever you choose, bring both weapons to Mount Ashi. The Obsidian Hammers, they should give you plenty of Obsidian Hammers in the Olvia Academy right here. Like 8 from here, and then another 3 from the Olvia Academy coins, which you get from just doing the Olvia Academy quests. And that should give you 11 good attempts in potentially getting another Tet Blackstar to a pen. But it is a few pities away from getting the pity. That's like 4 taps away, and I still wouldn't recommend using the Cron Stones. It does cost 3,700 Cron Stones to tap a Pen Blackstar. So if you don't get it with these hammers, I honestly think you just save up and buy it off the market for 20 bill. It's much more worth it, right? To put in perspective, 3.7 bill, 3.7 K crons is about 10 bill. So if
also
you
gonna say,
tapped
for perspective,
twice,
that would be like maybe 20 days of AFK fishing, to be quite honest with you. So
Yeah, fishing is very good these days. Yeah, and get those passive incomes going. Okay, so again, once you acquire your pen black stars in whatever method you choose, bring it to Mount Ashi. It's in the northwestern side of Land of Morning Light, and there should be this beautiful statue of a phoenix. And once you interact with it, it should give you this menu here that asks you to insert 2 pen black stars to craft the sovereign weapon. And this is a little bit weird, but also it makes sense at the same time. You can actually use 2 different black star weapons as long as it's in the same category to make for your class. So for example, I can use a black star swallowtail fan from Wusa and a black star staff from Witch and Wizard. And let's say I was playing my ranger, it would then create actually a sovereign bow. So you can insert a Wusa's fan here, a staff here, and it would make the bow because I'm on the class of ranger. And so that makes it a lot more appealing to buy because you could buy just 2 different of the same category weapons. So 2 main hand weapons, 2 awakening weapons, 2 offhand weapons. So that's something important to note. You don't have to use the same weapon in case it's not available in the market, right? So another method of crafting the sovereign weapon is actually the Flame of the Primordial, and you can acquire it by, if you're RNG carried, you can get it from the Land of Morning Light bosses one go. Or you are guaranteed Embers of the Primordial. They used to drop directly from the bosses. Now you get these tokens, which you can exchange. I don't know if I have a screen. Here it is. You can get these tokens, which you can exchange for the embers, and you need a total of 100 of them. You can get a few extra embers by doing some party boss splits quests from your black spirit, but it's still a fairly slow method. I do think that you can get 20 bill faster than it would take you to get 100 embers. This is like a very time gated process. Again, this was to help players reach the pen black star when they were like almost 100 bill, but now that they've dropped down, it's like
it's a legacy system at this
considered
point.
another legacy system. Pretty much. And so, yeah, there is another third method too that I should mention, and this one for sure is mostly a legacy system. It is the Gem of Twilight. For the main hand, you need a level 20 weapon for Kaffir Stones, and to get a level 20 weapon for the boss weapon for Zarka or Ophit, you need 30,000 Kaffir Stones. And then the Gem of Twilight also costs another 20,000 Kaffir Stones upon that. So if Kaffir Stones are about 2.5 to 3 mil each, that's over 150 bill probably worth of stuff. So legacy system here, don't worry about this method. It's there. And then the next one is the offhand. The offhand is very similar to making the main and awakening, and they actually do use the Gem of Twilight here. So you will need the Gem of Twilight for this method to craft it. They do still have the other method of using the level 20 version of the weapon, another legacy system there, so don't worry about method 2 here listed. The main one you will be doing is 2 pen black stars and the Gem of Twilight. There is another method to craft it using the Gem of the Primordial. This is similar to the Flame of the Primordial that we were talking about earlier. It's a system where you will slowly gather up the pities of the pieces for it to craft it then and substitute it for another pen black star, but you would still need the Gem of Twilight. So this one does take a long time to get. Method 1 will be your main way of crafting the sovereign weapon. And what material you need is actually called a primordial blackstone. This is also acquired from Land of Morning Light bosses. You'll get these tokens whenever you defeat those bosses, so make sure you have those set up at Uturi, Golden Pig, Sangoon, and Bulgosal, and you'll get 8 per 32. 8 times 4 is 32. I'm good at math. Surely. Okay. And you'll get 32 of these per week, or you could just buy them off the market. You can buy the full crafted version or the piece to craft it into the primordials and then start tapping. Here are some recommended fail stacks. I don't know if they're the most efficient, but this is what I personally started using. I started crawling at Try, and then from there, just using the stacks that I've gotten over the years from them handing out those 300 stacks, 400 stacks from those events. We're going to be actually getting a Hide a Ball in July in about 2 months from now, like July. I think it's like July 25th or something like that.
Yeah,
So
it's about that time
expect
frame.
more. Yeah, expect more free materials for enhancing. So there you go. And then now some other things to note is that you can prioritize your primary weapon for the spec you're using in order to maximize your game. So you can't just leave, let's say you're an awakening class and you can prioritize your awakening weapon. You can leave your main hand at Pen Blackstar and still do really well. Your main hand or your non-primary weapon still does affect your awakening to a certain extent, but not as much as you would think. I think it's like 30% of your like sheet AP or something like that helps out your awakening. I'm not sure exactly about the formulas, but it was like a 70-30 something wise. Maybe I am bad at math, but yeah, you can just leave your sovereign awakening as that, and then a Pen Blackstar, right? For if you're an awakening class, or vice versa. Let's say you're a succession class and you have a pen sovereign weapon and you just have a Pen Blackstar, that's still okay. You'll still do really well in grinding. And so, but at the same time, I do still recommend getting your main and awakening up so that you can be flexible about what spec you play. Black Desert has over 30 different classes, right? And most of them have 2 different specs. So it's nice to have that same level of weapon in case you just want to swap the spec or tag other classes. Lastly, this is the last point, Garmoth's Heart. So Garmoth's Heart can be added to each weapon. Every one, main hand, awakening, and offhand, to provide various stats. The main hand gets 3 additional sheet AP and 50 accuracy. The awakening provides 2 crystal slots and 3% crit damage, and the offhand provides some defensive stats, HP and stamina. There is a budget version of this. The Kudum's Heart, you can put it on the offhand to provide 525 HP, and the Karanda's Heart, both of which you can actually buy off the market. Karanda's Heart gives only 1 crystal slot, so it's like a good budget option. I don't think it's too expensive. I don't have a screenshot of the prices, but you could just look it up in game. I think they're about like 100-200 mil each. They shouldn't be that expensive, but yeah, that's a nice little upgrade you can tack on right away to just get some free stats potentially. And so yeah, I think that should pretty much conclude my weapon progression in the Black Desert. And I think next is Zeroden. So I'll now hand you guys off to Zeroden to help you guys figure out.
Before we close this topic, questions and comments from our veteran community. There is one from, I think it's Heckcam, if I'm saying it right. He wanted to offer the information that 75% of your stats come from your weapon that is selected. So if you're awakening and using your awakened weapon set, you get 25% of your stats from your main.
No, it's 70-30 still. As far as I can find anywhere, yeah.
Okay, 70-30. But it is still good to know that basically the weapon stats do affect each other. So just because you are, succession does not mean you shouldn't bother with your awakened weapon.
Whatever the case is, still prioritize your main primary weapon, and you should be good for grinding.
Okay. Do we have any other questions, comments? Zendane says that 70-30 for main awaken and succession, and 30-70 for main awaken for awaken, which is accurate. You still get the full benefit of your offhand for both. We have one question in game. If you want to answer that one real quick, Jakun.
Yes. So Junath says, what weapon do we go first as Ascension? That is a very good question. So I think it depends on which class you play, because I know some certain Ascension classes have different formulas. So for example, Wukong, from what I was told, is that whenever you're in Buddha form, it's like 70-30 split for your awakening when you're in Buddha form. I'm not a Wukong main, so maybe some Wukong mains can double check that. And so for Wukong specifically, if that is the case, you should always be grinding in Buddha form in Wukong, in which case you should prioritize your awakening in Wukong. For some other classes like Scholar and Deadeye, I'm not 100% sure. I think for Deadeye, people usually prioritize the pistols for the damage. I think that's where the majority of your damage comes from for bursts and stuff like that. And then for Scholar, it's kind of like a 50-50 split. I was actually just playing Scholar the other day. I tagged it the other day, and it was like whenever you did a main hand attack, you followed it up with a flow in your awakening. So it was almost like a 50-50 split of what weapons you were using for Scholar. So it's a very different experience for those classes. So it depends on what class, basically.
And Shais also have their own individual different.
For Shy, it's like the buffs, right? The higher the level of the Artina Soul, the more effective the speed buff is, and the debuffs for the DP is. Right?
Yeah, Zandane's said that absolute skills use 100% of your main skill, main weapon. I was reading that awakening skills use 100% of their awakening. So I'm not sure 100%. I think it's still really kind of confusing how the AP is applied. So definitely test it out. Grab a friend, go to VA, just take one of them off and see what happens.
Yeah. Is there any other questions or comments from our veteran community, or maybe some new players with questions regarding weapons? Because the next topic we're going to go into is going to be Reforge Stones. So they kind of align with the weapons. So is there any other topics or any other questions before we move on? Talking about Shy, do make the Artina's upgrades the buff stronger or just the monster AP? I think upgrading the Artina Soul, is there a shot? You played a Shy before, right, Jay-Kun? You could answer
Yes,
that
I have. The buffs will be improved. The AP is very minimal. So if you are grinding, I mean, it's important to get your buffs up because, you know, those attack speed buffs. So from Tet to Pen Artina Soul, I believe it's a 4% increased difference for the speed spell. And 4% attack speed can be worth quite a lot, especially if you're grinding in a party, right? But your majority of the damage is from the boomerang. I guess it's important to have both up. The Artina Soul doesn't go to... Well, I guess it technically does go to Sovereign Weapon. I should mention that you can craft a Sovereign Sol, but you are forced to use a Flame of the Primordial. You cannot use another Pen Blackstar because I guess PA decided that they should have their own lore-specific weapon. It's like they made it a little bit more annoying for Shies to craft their Sovereign, but yeah, you would need a Flame of Primordial in order to craft the Sovereign Weapon, which just adds the ability to add the Reforge Stones, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you get extra stats from Reforge Stones. But yeah, that's what the Sovereign Sol does. But all in all, if you just have a Pen Artina Sol, that's the main thing that affects the buffs.
Michael had a question, which is there any other way of unlocking the 2 crystal slots other than the Garmoth or Corona's Heart? Go ahead, Jacob.
Well, the Land of Morning Light quest line gives you 2 crystal slots baseline, but if you want to unlock the other two crystal slots, it has to be from the Garmoth. And then Coranda only gives 1. So there's 4 locked crystal slots in total, 2 from finishing Land of Morning Light and 2 from Garmoth, or 1 from Coranda.
Yeah, I was just going to add that we are going to be covering crystals in another section. So if you have more questions about those, just hang on for that portion.
Brimstone says, can you replace cheap hearts with Garmoth? And then, yeah, so when you go to the blacksmith, there should be an item that you can buy called a Mirror of Equilibrium, and that allows you to extract the heart of whatever you had on the weapon, either a Garmoth heart, Coranda heart, or Kudum's heart. So you can extract it. It's very cheap. It's like 10 or 20 mil or something like that.
I believe it's 10 mil at all blacksmiths except for the one in Dragon, which is like 5 mil. It's cheaper there for some reason because it used to only be available there. Fleepy Flofum asks, is it worth upgrading offhand Tuvala to deck or just buying Pen Blackstar offhands on NA?
So we covered the costs during the lesson, and it's about 15-20 bill to upgrade on average. So you could potentially get unlucky and pity it, which might cost you up to 40 bill if you pity the deck Tuvala. So I would still recommend just buying it off the market to just avoid any RNG possible. But at the same time, you could get it very cheap under 10 bill if you do get lucky, because there have been, you know, the chances are pretty good. And I have seen many people get it for really cheap for the free materials they get. So like, okay, here's a nice visualization, right? So let's say, you know, you're walking on a bridge and there's a gap in the bridge and you got to jump across it. And sometimes you might make it across on the first try, but many times you might fall down, right? You might slip and fall down and you have to climb all the way up the hill, cross the bridge again, make that jump again. So it's kind of like that, right? And then the other road is walking on this long windy path, very predictable, very slow, right? Very easy. there's nothing too interesting along the way. So whatever path you take, maybe that visualization might help for you to decide whether you should buy or enhance the Pen Black Stars.
I think if you're playing Black Desert, you pretty much have to take into account that RNG is an aspect in almost everything. So,
yeah.
So another way to look at it too is this: it depends on how you enjoy your game. When you look at, and I will be covering this during our quote-unquote additional topic section, but you have to consider whether you want to use silver as an upgrade material for weapons or silver as an upgrade material for something else. If you're interested in being the most efficient player in Black Desert Online, which most people who play BDO are very interested in efficiency, and some people just don't care, right? But if you're interested in efficiency, you need to divide your lines of effort. We'll get more into that a little later on. All right, moving on from that, we have our next subject, which is led by yours truly, Reforge Stones. So we've talked about how to get yourself into sovereign weapons, right? Now you've got your sovereign weapon. Why is a sovereign weapon so much better than Black Star? Is it just the enhancement level? No. Having a base level sovereign is better than having a pen level Black Star, not just because the stats are identical, because you can insert something called Reforge Stones. Reforge Stones are a way you can add a little complexity to your gear where you can kind of add in stats based on your preference. So based on the type of content I want to do, I'm going to select the Reforge Stones that I want. Right? So here is my Reforge Stones, right? If I'm looking at my PvE build, I have a Reforge Stone at all AP, which increases my AP by 3, a critical hit rate increase, which gives me 5% more critical hit rate, 2% more back attack damage, 1% more critical hit damage in the Reforge Stone critical hit damage, right? Gives me 1% more, and the Black Spirit Rage recovery by 0.5. Now I have this on my main hand, but I can actually add these to every weapon. So when you think about it, right, just getting your weapons to Sovereign, even at the base level, you can increase your AP by 9, which is pretty good. That's better than you can get out of, a couple of pieces of accessories being upgraded. You can increase your critical hit rate by 15%. You can increase your back attack damage by 6%. You can increase your critical hit damage by 3% and your Black Spirit recovery rate by 1.5%. That's pretty substantial, and that's if those are the stats you selected. Now, when I go over to my PvP build, before I do that, I just kind of want to cover this UI. This is the UI you're going to insert your Reforge Stones into. Reforge Stones go into here, and you can select the weapon, and it just plug them right on in. And there's a quick summary that it provides you of the total effects. You can click on this and it gives you a quick summary of your total effects of all your weapons in this build. This UI is really important. You can find it in your inventory by clicking this icon, Reforge Stones. And the reason this UI is important is by setting these up, you can actually add them into something we're going to cover later on, which is the all-in-one preset build. So for this one, I have this as my PvE build. In my PvP set, I have slightly different stones. I use damage reduction. I use down attack damage. And these are going to increase my down attack damage across 3 different weapons by 6%, my damage reduction by 15. And if you're wondering 15 doesn't seem like a lot, for perspective, right, 15 is quite a bit when we're talking about DR. If I put on a Calx Elixir, if I put up a Calc Elixir, I get 15 DR. And then when I go to Idania to grind, I have a different set of Reforge Stones based off of, because I want to live, because these mobs hit hard, so I put a little HP in each one, giving me a little more health and some DR. So some things to think about your Reforge Stones. Now you're wondering, okay, I know where to plug my Reforge Stones in. I kind of have an idea of what I should use. And again, I'm going to go to PvE real quick. These are my recommendations for you for PvE. If you're doing PvE, I highly recommend you use these Reforge Stones. Again, all AP, critical hit rate, back attack extra damage, critical hit rate extra damage, and Black Spirit recovery. Ultimately, you can choose whatever you want. I think these are the best in slot for PvE, especially for my build, but if you have a different preference, obviously go with what you want. Now we have the Reforge Stones, we know where to plug them in, we know which ones are best in slot, but where do they come from? That's super easy. They come from the Land of Morning Light bosses. There's 2 ways you can earn these, and technically 3 ways, but we'll go over them. All right. This is the Land of the Morning Light if you're not familiar with it already. There are several ways you can get these. So the first one is going to be coming to Bulgasol, right? The world boss Bulgasol, he'll drop a Reforge Stone. The world boss Oturi up here, he also drops Reforge Stones. The world boss Golden Pig King right here also drops Reforge Stones. And lastly, the world boss Sangoon also drops Reforge Stones. One thing I strongly recommend is taking an alt character and taking them out to those locations and just having them be there for the bosses so that when those bosses come up, you can whack them. Defeating the boss gets you a shot at Reforge Stones. It's that simple, right? And then also you have the reward UI, which you can then open up and look at the world's, the Land of the Morning Light boss tokens, which you can additionally get, which we covered earlier, which is primordial crystals and other rewards. So they are worth doing, and they do reward some silver. Now, additionally, there is another way you can get Reforge Stones, and that's through the Black Shrine. Let me open my Black Shrine. This is your Black Shrine. These bosses also drop Reforge Stones. Now, Chris is going to cover the Black Shrine specifically and why they're important during the section of weekly activities, but I personally do not recommend anything below Calamity 7. Calamity 7, or 1 through 7, are what I would consider legacy system bosses. Calamity 8, 9, and 10 are worth your time. And they can offer you Reforge Stones in the reward box. Not only can you get that from the solo bosses, but you can also get that from the group bosses. If you're doing group bosses, one of the rewards you can get is Reforge Stones. They're absolutely worth your time, especially because they're so easy to do. And I'll give you an example, right? This is my normal mode. I haven't done normal mode in forever. But on hard mode, I complete Uturi with my guild group in a minute, 1 minute. So if I look at all the bosses that I do Jigwe. In hard mode, we complete him typically in about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes. Bulgasol takes us about 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes. Uturi takes us maybe 2 minutes at most, but usually about 1.5 minutes. Bong Wong usually takes us somewhere between 2 minutes and 3 minutes. And Baihyung usually takes us somewhere between 2 minutes and 3 minutes. These are worth your time. They will offer massive rewards, but I'll let Chris cover that more during her section. But specifically, I want you to focus on the fact that these are easy gains for your Reforge Stones. So that is how you basically apply your Reforge Stones. That is their value and their worth. And so that covers all of Reforge Stones. What questions do you guys have about Reforge Stones? You can ask in-game, you can ask on stream. I'm going to be moving people around, so Chris and Jay-Kun will answer both.
Zandane says AP is swappable for DR if you're over AP cap. Yeah, that would be a good Reforge Stone set to make for if you're hitting cap in the zone that you're grinding in. I would make a capped set, just like with crystals, which we will cover shortly, making sure that you're not wasting stats. Are defense Reforge Stones even worth putting in? I would say yes, especially like you said, there's some zones that have specific CCs that they get, and if they catch you with those CCs, you can die, especially in the Edania zones. Knowing whether or not you're in danger in the area that you're grinding is definitely worthwhile to take note of if you're speccing DR AP.
Mediterranea in game says, how important is stacking accuracy in PvP if your class gives accuracy in skills? It depends on what class you're fighting, right? Certain classes are more evasion oriented and certain classes are more DR oriented. So if you're fighting a ninja, they probably have some evasion, and if you got some Reforge Stones to add some accuracy to hit that ninja, that might help. I think a good way to kind of look at it is that AP cancels out DR and accuracy cancels out evasion. So depending on what kind of class you're fighting, if you're fighting a DR class, more AP. If you're fighting an evasion type class, more accuracy would help you out.
Yes, and using the all-in-ones when we get to those, you'll be able to swap those out on the fly. So there's a couple of questions that are happening on stream. AP is swappable. Okay, we already read that one. AP is swappable for DR if you're over AP cap, correct? Okay, so as Reforge Stones, you get like the ones you need and then you're done? Yes, you get the ones you need and you don't really need more. They don't break. That I'm aware of, unless you're maybe like negative karma or something. But you can buy them off the marketplace, or you can get them from the world bosses. And I know we mentioned how you get them from world bosses earlier, but honestly, if you have the silver, you can buy them off the marketplace. Here's what I will say. They're all available, obviously, and they're kind of min-priced. They're pretty cheap, but I'm the type of player who I'd rather get the things that won't cost me anything. You're going to get these at some point anyway doing the content, so I don't necessarily recommend buying them. I do recommend earning them. But if you're just in the impatient type and you'd rather have it now, you could just buy it off the marketplace. That is also an option. But once you get them, it's one and done. All right. I take it you can't stack all AP on one weapon. That's a great question, Rec. And here's the answer. You can't put AP Reforge Stones on one single weapon. You have to spread them out across your 3 weapons within a set. So each Reforge Stone is considered unique. So you cannot like stack all DR. You cannot stack all AP. You cannot stack all accuracy. They're each unique. You do have to spread them out, so they cannot just be put on the same weapon, but you can have them on different builds for your all-in-one presets. Are defense Reforge Stones even worth putting in, asks Senpaisko. It depends. In PvP, I would say yes. In PvE, if you are over AP cap, then you can, but I'm the type that I don't like to have to switch to a bunch of different like min-max stuff, so I just kind of run AP all around.
I think Jay Kuhn has a question in game too.
In game, yeah. So Redgrave says, from back attack, down attack, air attack stones, is it important to prioritize the stone based on the mobs you fight or the class you're playing? Based on the mobs you fight. So most mobs in the game will not be able to be knocked down. So you should prioritize back attack Reforge Stones for that. There are very niche spots where down attack is more important than back attack, such as Star's End. Specifically the 395 version, the whole mechanic revolves around down attack, where you destroy the crystal, the mobs become absorbed into the center and get knocked down. If you do not kill them before they get back up, then they have a massive amount of DP that makes it very difficult to kill. So there's very niche spots where down attack would be better. As for air attack, there is okay, this is just like a flavor kind of story, but basically in Ash Forest, there was in Dekia 2 specifically in Ash Forest, the Gyrus mob there actually was, I don't know if it was bugged for sure, but there was a bug where all of your air attacks would affect it. And people for the longest time kind of thought that was the case, right? Like it was not a bug because it did look like it was flying in the air. And so like, oh man, we can actually use our air attacks here. This is like the first spot where we can utilize air attacks in BDO. But no, it was a bug and then they fixed it. So now you can't air attack that mob. So air attack is not very important in PvE. Only down attack, only back attack and down attack.
I would point out too, City of the Dead is another one where down attack is
true.
important.
Yeah, there are some specific locations where down attack matters, and it's not just that, but it also matters what type of boss content you're doing. So if you're doing boss rushes, like there's no real need for down attack unless maybe you're doing, say Jigwe, because Jigwe does have a phase where he's laying on his back, and you can technically do additional damage.
That is true.
Yeah, out of that. But yeah, it's an individual choice. I don't find down attack to be better than like overall crit damage or back attack damage, because back attack is valuable. Down attack is very niche. So Star's End is another one where you could technically get a lot of advantage from down attack based off of how quickly you can destroy mobs around the crystal, but that's an individual preference.
But yeah, for Reforge Stones, once you have all your sets filled out, you're happy with them, basically you just sell them on the marketplace for everyone else.
I would caution here because Hurlibus is quite good at taking things that have no value and making them valuable. So just something to keep in mind, that they might do an update in the future where you can grind down or destroy those crystals or those Reforge Stones to craft something. So a great example would be magical shards, right? Magical shards didn't used to exist in the game. We had the black magic crystals that were worth nothing that no one wanted. And then magical shards came along. And then for a long time, we had a deficit. We had an overflux where there was just so many of them. And now we're back to a deficit because there were some things that needed tons of magical shards. So just things to keep in mind, that they are very good at making things that weren't valuable. So a piece of advice that I'll give you, and you can carry this with you in every aspect of this game, if you don't know what it's for, or it's not really worth selling right now, just hang on.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not selling, hold on to them. It's not going to hurt you. And I'm still waiting for them to do something with the tiers from Land of Moira.
Correct. All right, with that said, we are ready to move on to the next topic. Does anyone have any final questions, comments, or anything that they'd like to add in for Reforge Stones before we move on to armor, which will be led by Chrysidra? All right, we're going to moving on to armor. That will be led by Chrysidra. So without any further ado, Chrysidra, take it away.
All right, I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to be covering armor. There are slots, chest, helmet, boots, and gloves. At endgame, you should be working on capping your Godslayer gear to deck. The 4 pieces are the Abyssal Veil, the chest, the Heaven Smite helmet, the Oath Grip gloves, and the Fury Stride boots. You enhance these pieces with an Idana's Black Stone made with 1 piece of Idana and 3 sharp black crystal shards and 20 Kaphras. These pieces of Idana are acquired by defeating the current ruler of the thrones of Edania. These are weekly quests, depending on whether you have the gear to qualify to challenge them. From the easiest, granting 1 piece of Edana, to the most difficult, granting 5, goes Aetherian, or Jordine, Nymphomare, which is Brasalka, Orbita, which is Enslar, Henabrom, which is Karshan, and Zephyros, which is Caphras. Once you have completed all of the Edania main story quests, you can also get an additional quest from Bahram in Hakinza Sanctuary, and you trade in Pride Deboreka accessories for 5 additional pieces of Edana. So don't forget that those are available to you because this is a very time-gated piece. In order to craft the Godslayer armor, you need to have enhanced your slumbering armor to Tet or Pen, and completed at least the Aetherian portion of the Edania main story quest. So just the Aetherian portion is required to make Godslayer armor. And then you talk to the Black Spirit on a level 60+ character. Weekly, at midnight Thursday mornings, you can craft 1 Godslayer piece by talking to the Edana fragment. You can use the Find NPC feature to search for the Edana fragment and navigate to him that way if you are having trouble finding him in the Littlevin Mountains of Edania. You can exchange your slumbering armor piece with 1 piece of Edana to craft a base Godslayer armor. And if you are exchanging a Tet slumbering origin armor, it'll give you a base Godslayer. If it is at Pen, then you will get a Nav Godslayer armor. But it still requires 1 piece of Edana for the exchange. Both crafting the armor and enhancing it is time-gated behind acquiring pieces of Edana, so it is essential to accumulate them weekly. So even if you don't necessarily have the Cron Stones to do taps or all the other enhancement materials, definitely do your weekly Edana Lord fight. And I'll cover that again in weekly activities. So the Slumbering Origin armor is the group of armor before Godslayer. It consists of the Fallen God armor, the Labreska helmet, the Dawn's gloves, and the Ator shoes. Notice you can actually purchase the Slumbering Origin armor off the central marketplace, but it costs around 20 billion at minimum, in NA at least, and goes up as it goes up in enhancement level. So there's not very many people posting base Slumbering Origin armor, so you're looking at the 40 to 50 billion range for pre-enhanced Slumbering Origin armor. The Dawn's Glove is by far the easiest to acquire because it primarily requires completing quests. After completing the Ruler of Tebek portion of the Land of Morning Light main story quest on a level 56+ character, you talk to the Black Spirit and get the Dawn's Glove questline started. At the end, you interact with the Fox God statue in the Yowu Cave, with either Pen Bags or Lieber's gloves at Caphras level 10, or Pen Blackstar gloves, and then the Flame of Hongik. The Flame of Hongik is made by heating 500 embers of Hongik. It sounds like a lot, but you actually get those by defeating Land of Morning Light boss blitz. If you complete the max 5 Land of Morning Light bosses per week, you get about 50 embers per week minimum. You get an additional 30 embers once per family by exchanging 500 Sangpyeong coins with Dohun, but that's only one time only, but it will still help you expedite the process. If you don't want to wait for the flame, you can purchase it off the marketplace, and I highly recommend this if you just want to rush through and get that thing made in for the Dawn's Gloves. The Flame of Hongik is currently valued at about 370 million on the NA Central Marketplace, so not even an hour's grind worth of time. The next Slumbering Origin armor I recommend getting is the Labreska's Helm. In order to craft the Labreska's Helm, you need to have completed the Mountain of Eternal Winter main story quest, and then on a level 56+ character, talk to Floki. Again, you can use the Find NPC feature to search for him. You can navigate to his cave near Jade Starlight Forest. And then you complete the Crafting Labreska's Helm questline. In order to see the quest, you need to have a Pen Blackstar helmet or Pen Giath or Griffin helmet at Caphras level 10, as well as the Flame of Frost in your inventory. So if you don't have those on you, you won't be able to see the quest yet, so make sure you're getting the required pieces before you talk to these NPCs. The Flame of Frost is made by heating 100 Embers of Frost. These drop from monsters in the Mountain of Eternal Winter grind zones, Arethia's Limbo, Murrowalk's Labyrinth, and Jade Starlit Forest. It does not drop from the fossils, so keep that in mind if that's somewhere you like to grind them out of Eternal Winter. There's also a rare spawn called Erbjork, which is a large guardian that spawns in that zone, but also can spawn in the grind zone, specifically at Jade's Starlight Forest, to drop additional embers when she's defeated. The reason I recommend Libresca's Helm next is because Jade's Starlight Forest is still a really profitable grind zone at its required gear level. On average, based on Garmoth, it nets about 800 million per hour, which is a rather large amount for a low APDP requirement. It also provides a decent amount of Caphras, about 30 per hour, not including the daily quests that you can pick up for that grind zone as well. And that'll help you with reaching the level 10 Caphras levels on your gear, as well as just needing Caphras for a bunch of other things like enhancement stones and such. It takes about 7,224 Caphras per Slumbering Origin piece, so make sure you keep that in mind. That's quite a lot of Caphras. Set your expectations to get about 3 to 5 embers per hour at Jade Starlight Forest, and only about 1 to 2 per hour at Murloc Labyrinth, but I actually really enjoyed grinding Murlocs. You also have a chance of getting iridescent shards pretty highly there, which is a very valuable drop as well. So you can still make a decent amount of money and still mix things up. You can attempt to purchase a Flame of Frost on the central market, but it's currently on back order at max price, which is 2 billion. So it might be easier for you to just grind, make money, make Caphras, and I would recommend you take that method instead of trying to buy it off the marketplace for that one. Third, I would recommend working on is the Fallen God armor. To craft the Fallen God armor, you need to have a Red Nose or Dim Tree armor at Pen and Caphras level 10 as well, or a Pen Blackstar armor. You also need a Flame of Despair, which is made by heating 100 Embers of Despair. These embers drop from the Takuta monster zone in both normal and Dekia. The normal is about 3 to 4 embers per hour. The Dekia version is about 6 to 7 per hour, again based off of Garmoth numbers. As well as can be obtained from Ibador scrolls, which are made using 5 venomous Night Fangs dropped from all Odilita zones. After acquiring the proper gear and flame, you can speak with Doran Morgrim at the bottom of Helm's Post. You can also navigate to him as well if you need to help finding him. So definitely make use of the Find NPC feature to find all these NPCs you need. It also needs to be a level 56 plus character to complete the crafting quest. This quest is daily, so if you were trying to craft a bunch of Fallen God armors for some reason, maybe to sell, it is a daily quest. You can only do it once per day. The last Slumbering Origin armor to acquire is the Ator Shoes. This is the most difficult because it has the highest APDP requirement to grind for the embers in Ulukita. For this, you need either Muskins or Uragan shoes at Pen and Caphras level 10, or Pen Blackstar shoes, and the Flame of Resonance. The Flame of Resonance is made by heating 100 Embers of Resonance. These embers drop from Ulukita monster zones, Dark Seeker's Retreat, Yazreed Highlands, Tungred Ruins, and City of the Dead. Currently, Dark Seeker's Retreat is the most profitable zone, non-Edania, per hour, averaging about almost 2 billion per hour, but only averaging about 1 ember per hour. So set your expectations for that. The ember grind can be rather difficult. Yazreed Highland and City of the Dead average about 2 embers per hour. However, they are about half the total profit. You can currently purchase Flame of Resonance and Embers of Resonance on the marketplace, but the flame itself is about minimum 4 billion with thousands listed on NA. So for this one, I would recommend Central Market because of the value right now is very low and it's very easy to acquire. And as you can see, the time it would take to grind one out is rather long.
You could just show it on screen so they can see it.
Oh, sure. Okay. So the Flame of Resonance is very easy to acquire on the marketplace. Yeah, you can see there are currently over 3,000 at min list for 4 billion. So if you're grinding Dark Seekers, for example, and you're getting 2 billion per hour, that's 2 hours you have one done. Rather than waiting one per take 100 hours. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that'd be, I mean, if that's how you want to make money, do it, but I'm not a grinding fan, so I definitely recommend just buying it. So once you have the properly enhanced shoes and Flame of Resonance, you take the level 56 character and talk to the Atasahara's node manager, Barkala. For the Slumbering Origin gloves and boots, you can select an evasion or damage reduction version. The evasion is green, the damage reduction is blue. If you happen to change your mind on which ones you want, you can take them to a Hunyong in Moodle Village for the gloves, or Barkala again for the boots, with 50 crystallized despairs and exchange for the alternate version. So if you change your mind on evasion or damage reduction, you're not stuck or having to make another one. You can just exchange them with those crystallized spares. It used to be the Scorched Sun Shards, but those have since been removed. To enhance the Slumbering Origin armor, you need flawless, chaotic black stones. You create these by heating 2 sharp black crystals, 1 mass of pure magic, and 10 kaffir stones. You can make these in quantities of 10 by adding 10 times each ingredient plus 1 blackstone powder. I'm a big fan of making many at once, so I think that's a fun thing to note. Prior to Slumbering Origin armor, you will have what is just considered boss gear. This is due to that armor being labeled with the name of the boss it typically drops from. Boss gear can be acquired from world and field bosses or by exchanging Pen to Vala gear when graduating a seasoned character. It doesn't really matter what armor you pick on your journey to Slumbering Origin armor because it's a rather fast process now. Kind of a legacy to have multiple types at this point. Once you have all Tet boss armor, you can choose to use the guaranteed Pen boss gear method with Jatina to more easily transition them to Pen rather than wasting valuable materials on enhancement. On a level 60 plus character, you can complete a suggested questline that starts with a cry for help via the Black Spirit. By talking to the Old Moon Guild manager Jatina in most major cities, you can give her a Pen to Vala or Tet boss gear to convert into a reformable gear that uses special reform stones to enhance. The reason why I don't really consider this legacy yet is because it does not require cron stones and it takes a different materials to enhance to Pen. So if you're looking for a side method to avoid using materials you'll need later, this is still a really good method. There are 5 levels of reform stones that take special materials for each one, but reforms do not fail and no cron stones are required. Upon completing all reform levels, you also get a brand stone and a couple of crystal extraction tools. A useful tool to help you with this process is the progression pass. At the top of your screen, there's a little up arrow with the Black Spirit symbol. You can actually see a guaranteed Pen as an option here, and it goes through some special steps that you can unlock for some nice little rewards to help you along the way toward the process of getting your Pen enhanced boss gear. This is also a nice little tool for some other things, so don't forget that it exists, which I think a lot of people do. Prior to boss gear, if this is your first time in Black Desert, you should create a seasonal character. On a seasonal character, they'll give you 2 Vala gear that gets enhanced with time-filled black stones, and you can also use these stones to repair the durability if you fail enhancements. Again, as was stated earlier, do not use cron stones onto Vala or boss gear. That is a major waste, and you're going to need them in the thousands when you're working on slumbering and higher gear. So definitely save those as much as you can. They're going to give you a bunch of them. You're going to think you're going to get more, and you're not. So definitely hold on to them as long as possible. A tip I would extend to your journey through season content would be to acquire Roaring Magical Armor from the Medea's main story questline, as well as hold on to that and accessories from there's rings from Valencia, belt from Dragon, earrings from Kama Sylvia, and a necklace from Odilita main story quests that you can enhance to try with Blackstones. The reason I recommend you get these and hold on to them is they are equipable on a seasonal character from level 1. So you can actually make your process of leveling a seasoned character much smoother and easier by throwing these on a seasonal. And then you can kind of idly work on Tavala as you need to for your season pass and replace them as needed. So just a side little thing to mention. This also applies to the Chenga Sherkan Tome of Wisdom. This is a big thing that a lot of people don't know exists, especially new players. As you can see, I have lots of them. But you start this quest line from Alger on the mountain road leading to Kamut Lumber Camp. Now, you cannot find this guy by searching for him. So I'm going to show you exactly where this starts to help you in this process. If you go to the mountains here. So if you're looking at Hasra Cliff, there's a little road that goes up into the mountains here toward Kazarka. This little tiny location here that doesn't have a node, this is where that quest line starts. It's called Whom's Song, and it will get you a Chenga Tome that's usable on seasonal characters, on any character you're leveling. It's an amazing tool to put in your Adventure Tome slot, and highly recommend you get a few of those. As you can see from the rewards, it boosts your overall quest experience by 30%, which will definitely help you level up those characters just a little quickly if you're doing quests to unlock different things. But for the most part, I think I covered armor from end game to new players. So if you have any questions, please bring them up. I'm linking a tome as requested. There you go. Thank you, Zeroden. Can I explain the Cavers level upgrade, please? Yes. Actually, that's a good question. I wonder if I have an armor I can use here. So you pull up your enhancement window. Right? And here, you can see that it asks you to select the material that you want to use. So in this case, it would be Alchemy Stones to increase the Cavers level. And then it'll actually show you what level you need and how many stones it will take to get to that level. So it's a very, very easy process now. There's not a whole bunch of separate windows. You literally just select the item, and if it has the ability to be Cavers level enhanced, it'll give you the option for Cavers. Helzen said you can also get fragments for gloves, flame, dokebi, forest. No, yes, that's true. You can also get fragments. However, because they're min listed at less than 400 million for the total flame, I think you can use workers for other things and not have to. I mean, it's such a fast process now. It's kind of antiquated to have to use workers for that. Zafme says, remember Tuvala gear can be passed between characters. I keep pens sent in my bank for new seasonal characters. Yes. Now that they are not locked to seasonal characters, you can actually keep a set aside, and I actually have a storage where I have all my seasonal stuff for every time I make a seasonal, which is all the time, so definitely a good recommendation to keep a set on hand. Explain that F3 is how you get to the best grind. I don't have F3 bound to that any longer, so I'm not sure what you mean by F3. You need to complete Ethereum part of it. Yes, I did bring that up. So for the Bahram exchange, you need to have completed all of those main story quests for Edania, all the way through Zephyros, because each one is locked behind a different lord. So if you want all 5 quests to exchange Pride Debarekas, then you need to have done all of the main story quests for Edania. If you're still unable to see it, make sure that you have all of your quests unlocked, all of your quest type unlocked, because it might be locked, it might just be hidden from you. And I think there's also a level requirement for the character. Let me go back and check here. I believe it's level 60. You have to be level 60. You can only make 1 Edania army, yes, per week. It resets on Thursday mornings at midnight. I went to the Jatina pen route and have pen griffin helm and pen red nose, head boots and gloves. Should I use Cavers to upgrade the chest and helm to slumbering, or save them for sovereign offhand and buy the slumbering armors? I think that it would depend on your class and how you want to progress. If you want the AP over the DP, like you're doing fine in your survivability, you might want to focus on AP first. As you can see, even with my gear, I'm focusing a lot on my AP gains. I'm trying to get all my stuff to deck before I even try and work on my armors. But that's my class. I'm a very durable class, so it's not a major concern for my survivability. Definitely keep that in mind if you find yourself taking big hits, that maybe you should work on your armor a little bit more.
That's right. Also, just for regards to armor, since you have a limit on how many taps you can make a week based off of your reception of stones, you should figure out what the cost of your armor upgrade week is, right? So like, I know I have all, here, I'm gonna switch back to my main monitor real quick. Like looking at my own gear, right? I have all Sept gear. To enhance an item, it's gonna take about 2,600 crowns or something like that, right? So my upkeep cost is going to be this times 5, so 2,600 crowns times 5. So if I have about 1,250 to 13,000 crowns a week, that's my weekly cost of upgrading. Anything above that number, so if this goes up above that number, I can put it into my main hand, right? Because it doesn't cost me anything at that point really to tap it. But that is your weekly upkeep. So understanding your weekly upkeep is very important. There's 2 things that'll have weekly upkeep. One's going to be this, and the other one's going to be Alchemy Stones, which I think Jaykun's going to cover, and it will kind of get, both of those will kind of be answered in the weekly activities. But knowing your weekly upkeep on your armor taps and your weapon taps at the end game is important. So that's just a nuanced fact.
I'm following what you were saying there about that quest line you're having trouble with, Helzen. If you check your quest tab under suggested, there's one that says advanced support level 60, a deal with Hakin's Sanctuary. That's where you can find the quest for the exchange of the Pride Debarekas. So check those and see if you already have those, or if there's anything that you need to have done prior to them to unlock them. It should let you know in your quest UI. And yes, there like J-Kun mentioned in the weapons section, there is the deck to Vala option for at least one piece to skip over boss armor into Slumbering Origins. So definitely keep that in mind as well, as a quicker way to get at least one piece done. I would highly recommend you choose something that you're going to have to grind for. So either you're currently, the easiest ones to get right now are the gloves and the boots, because there are so many listed on the marketplace. So I would do either the chest piece or helmet. Probably the chest piece, just because, like I said, the Flame of Frost is very profitable to grind for. So if you have to grind for one of them, it's probably that one.
All right, so moving on from armors, the next thing that you're going to look at is your artifacts and your Lightstones. This kind of lines up with your armor, and that's why we wanted to kind of go into it. So as you complete your armor, you start getting your defensive set. You want to kind of start looking at your artifacts and Lightstones. So without further ado, I'm going to pull up mine. We're going to start from the end and work our way backwards. In general, right, for PvE purposes, the best artifact you can get is the Kabua Heralding Artifact. Now, the way that you arrive at the Kabua Heralding Artifact is there's a couple of ways you can do it. I'll give you the methods, and then I'll give you my recommendation. The first method is to go to Darkseeker's Retreat or Years at Highlands and just grind there. You can get the full drop you can get the full Kabua artifact as a drop. It can happen. Or you can get the shards, which I think they're called, we'll look these up right now. Easiest way to see it, Kabua, right? You can get the Kabua's fragments. Kabua's fragments are available on the marketplace. People sell these pretty often. Right now they're sitting at max price. You get 100 of these, so it's about 10 billion silver. Or you could buy it. If you're lucky, you can get a pre-order filled. The pre-orders are 63 deep. It's not that deep, but not a lot of people are grinding this area. So you can either grind it yourself or pay the 10 billion silver. Be it that it's 10 billion silver, I would recommend grinding it yourself, because instead of spending the silver to earn that artifact, you will gain silver from a good grind spot while you earn that artifact. So I would recommend getting that yourself. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take those and you're going to combine them with Herald crystals. The Herald crystals come from Edania. You can purchase them on the marketplace, or you can grind them yourself from any spot after Rusalka. So Rusalka, Orbita, what's that spot with the Manticore? Tenebron, and Zephyros Castle will all drop Herald crystals. And you can get them from your weekly bosses. So you do get Herald crystals no matter what at some point, right? These are going to create your Kabua's Heralding Artifact, which is the best in slot period artifact that you can get for PvE, right? So again, just to go over this, Herald crystals right here. There is an item you can get. If you're lucky, you can get a pure drop for a flawless Herald's crystal. Very rare, but it can happen. This is the item that you need to turn your artifacts into Herald crystals. Otherwise, you can collect 100 Herald's crystals and then upgrade your artifact. So you'll want to get at least 200, one per artifact, right? Unless you have multiple different sets of Kabuas, which some people will do. Some people will be like, oh, I want this Lightstone set in my Kabuas for this whatever activity. So just keep that in mind, that you could have multiple Kabua sets if you'd like, but typically you're going to at least want to get one up to this point. Now, working your way backwards. What do I do if I don't have a Kabua set and I can't grind in Darkseeker's Retreat or the Years at Highlands? That's a really easy answer. You can just use the basic. There is a version of this that gives you basically monster damage. That's going to be your best artifact. You can get them off of Rift bosses. They kind of drop all over the place. You can also just search them in your monster information and find them that way. Those are going to be your best bets. So you start with the monster artifacts, your monster AP, unless you want monster DR, depending on your survivability, right? And then you're going to eventually want to upgrade to Kabuas. Once you have your Kabuas, you want to get to your Heralding Kabuas. That is pretty much going to cover the PvE aspect of the artifacts. Now, that's not the all-in-one and done. There is PvP artifacts. So I'm going to open up my own artifacts real quick. In my artifact inventory, as you can see, I have a Decia's Heralding Artifact, all damage reduction. There's two types of PvE or PvP artifacts you're going to want. These are going to basically raise your primary defense stat. one being the evasion version and one being the DR version, depending on your preference. If you are going all in on evasion, you're going to want the evasion Decia's artifact. If you are all in on DR, you're going to want the Decia's artifact for all damage reduction. Now, as you can see, the word heralding is added to this artifact because, once again, I've taken 100 herald crystals and 100 herald crystals, created my flawless heralding gem, and I put it into these items. So if you want to max out your artifacts, you're going to want at least 400 Herald's crystals. So do keep that in mind as you grind. I do believe Herald crystals sit on the marketplace pretty often. Let's see here, Herald crystals. Yeah, you can see there's a ton of them sitting on the marketplace, and I think they're min listed. So you're going to get these as you grind endgame spots. They will just drop. But if you don't want to grind them and you want to be really impatient, you could just buy them. That is an option too. And if you are a lower geared player that just can get the Kabua's artifacts but aren't quite ready for Edania, this is a great way to get it because you can kind of cut out the middleman and get the stat boost earlier on, which enables you to go into better or more deeper areas sooner than later. So some things that are different about the Kabua's is they offer not just damage, but they don't offer just monster damage, but they offer monster DR, and they offer maximum HP and maximum stamina. And the heralding crystals are just an improved version of that. So just some things to keep in mind. Also, while we're on the topic of artifacts, we're going to look at your artifact inventory. You can set up presets for your artifacts, right? I have a bunch of presets that I set up on different characters, like I have life skill presets that I like to set up on different characters so I can have all my life skill stuff all set up. And then I use my all-in-one, and I've referenced the all-in-one a lot, but we're going to get to it. I use my all-in-one preset to swap between them freely. And then we'll talk about all-in-ones and quick keys a little later. The next thing I want to talk about is going to be our Lightstones. These are our Lightstones, right? Depending on your build, depending on your set, you can go online and find the different Lightstone sets. Don't just stick random Lightstones into your artifacts. Look at set values. Now, the one that I like to run is Vicious Shadows. The Vicious Shadows gives me crit damage and it gives me a lot of back attack damage. And those to me are very valuable. So Vicious Shadows requires me to run a Strike, a Strike Lightstone, a Shadows Lightstone, and 2 Predation Lightstones, right? That is what I like to run in PvE. And then I can see the effect of my Lightstones right here, where you can see Vicious Shadows is offering me on top of what is actually in the Lightstones themselves, an extra AP against monsters +7, 5% extra back attack damage, and 2% extra crit damage. I strongly recommend this if you are a back attack enjoyer. There is all-out attack, which I think is critical hit damage, and there are some people that will like an Edania specific one that will give them more Edania damage, but I like to be very broad with my Lightstones, so I go with Vicious Shadows, and I keep Vicious Shadows up.
I like to use all-out attack personally, but it does have a minus DR and minus evasion effect. It's minus DR 15, minus evasion 25, and all AP +20, crit hit damage +3%. It just depends on your class.
It depends on your class, and it depends on your AP level. Like if I'm hitting the AP cap at my zone, all-out attack is actually a detriment to me, not a benefit. So understanding where you're at with your gear and your specific needs is very important, but you got to balance that against that monster information. And we went over this earlier, but I'm going to open it up again. Let's look at our monster info tab. Here, monster zone info, and let's take a look at, for example, Ash Forest. Right here, we can see our stats, and then we want to see what the effective limit is. So this is what they recommend the AP to be, and this is the effective limit. So anything past 1130, you're only getting 5% of, making 1130 the monster AP cap. So anything past 1130 in your total stat build is not benefiting you. You may as well put in DR and take an extra hit or two. And that is an example, right? You can do that for any monster zone in the game. So like, let's say we go all the way down to the bottom of the list and look at Zephyros, which is one of the most end game spots right now, right? It is effective limit of 2010 AP. Now, in my gear, I can hit 2010 AP. Anything past 2010 AP, I am not benefiting from. So there's no point in stacking higher stats. I may as well stack defense. Does that make sense? Hit like and subscribe.
I would also recommend percent increases. So down attack, back attack, crit damage, crit hit chance, anything like that that has a percentage-based increase will apply.
which is exactly why I like running Vicious Shadows, because Vicious Shadows gives me 5% back attack and critical hit damage percentage-based increases, which are very, very important. So once you're at that cap, the only way you're going to get more damage out is by gaining percentage-based increases, not AP-based increases. So just understanding, again, your needs versus the grind spot you're in versus your class and how you're likely to hit. Because there is one, not Vicious Shadows, but J-Kun, maybe you remember, what's the one that focuses more on crit damage?
Crit damage should be all-out attack, 2 rage, 2 strikes.
Yeah,
Should
that's
be the
the
most.
crit
Is it
damage
right?
one.
Yeah. And I prefer Vicious Shadows just because it gives me both crit damage and back attack damage, and I spend a lot of time behind my enemy.
That
No,
those
it's
should be
critical hit
crit
rate.
rate.
Not
Yeah.
damage. So rate is different than damage. Critical hit rate increases the likeliness for which you will land a crit. However, critical hit damage increases the actual damage dealt by the crit. And this is very important based on your class, and this goes back to what we were talking about. I'm going to use my class as a good example here. If I look at my class, right, on my attack of Solar Flare, I have a 100% crit rate. I will always crit with this attack. So crit rate is not helping me. If I look at the flow of it, which is Overwhelm, it gets the same benefit. It's that 100% crit rate, right? If I look at Frenzied Strikes, I have a base 50% PvE crit rate. If I go to my most used ability, which is going to be Grave Digging, it's a 100% crit rate attack. Slashing the Dead gains that benefit. It's a 100% crit rate attack. Pulverize is a 50% crit rate, whereas Merciless, 100%. A Balance Strike gets the benefit of that. Oh, actually it doesn't. Balance Strike does not have the crit rate on there. Reckless Blow is 100%. Armor Break is 100%. Heaven's Cleave is 100%, right? Ankle Break is 50%. So a lot of warrior abilities have 100% crit rate baked into them. And if I am already getting the benefit of the additional 25% crit rate from just having my crit at +5, additional crit rate isn't a huge gain for me, especially because I have other buffs that are offering me crit rate. But if you're a class that doesn't have 100% crit rate on the abilities, this is something that's very important for you to pay attention to, because your class's needs and my class's needs may not be the same. You may have abilities that only give you 50 to 25%, maybe less than that, based on your class. So just keep that in mind, that your crit rate does matter, but it's based off of your class's needs. So on that note,
One more thing to note, if you press P and go to My Stats, you can actually see all of those stats towards the bottom, the crit rate and all that jazz.
There you go. Yeah, right here where it's on screen.
There you go. And you can dynamically see a change. So let's say you have add-ons for 30% crit rate, and then you hit something to proc the add-on, you'll see it dynamically change there.
Yeah, so in this case, I just ate a little bit of food, and you can see my critical hit extra damage went up to 50%. So that's just an example. Then there's one more thing we got to go over, and that's artifacts. So now we're going to go over Lightstones. All right. Lightstones, like we said, we talked about the Lightstone sets a little bit, but one thing I didn't get into was the amplified Lightstones. So in addition to having these Lightstone effects, you can amplify every Lightstone in your set using crystallized energy of end times. These will get you your biggest stat boosts as well. And let's look at this right now. A crystallized energy of end time gets, once again, you can get this from anywhere that's Rusalka or above in Edania, or you can buy them on the marketplace. They do sit on the marketplace pretty often, so it's crystallized. I think I'll just type crystallized energy of end times. Here it is. You can see that there's a bunch of them just sitting on the marketplace. These get posted pretty often. And honestly, if you want a low-cost stat boost, this is the best way to do it. Because once you have your energized, amplified Lightstones, you're not going to need to re-amplify them. They don't break unless you're negative karma and you have no crystals in place. So these are definitely worth investing into, and these are low cost, relatively low cost, because it's 30 of these for one crystal, upgrades to your gear. And every stat matters when you're talking about something like that, maybe a Lightstone set that offers you extra AP or extra critical hit damage. These are going to factor in a lot. So make sure you're using your crystallized energy of end times to amplify your Lightstones, and make sure you're using that for every Lightstone you actively use, to include your life skill Lightstones. So let's look at amplified Lightstones, just to give you guys an understanding. You can amplify all kinds of Lightstones. Actually, it doesn't look like you can amplify the life skill ones, but I like to run in PvP, for example, Iron Wall. I use the amplified Iron Wall because it gives me more DR per Lightstone. And it might not, it's like 2 extra DR might not seem like a lot until you multiply that over 4 Lightstones, and now all of a sudden I have 8 extra DR, which is pretty nice, just based off of a item that I've put together. Zafme has been kind enough to include a Lightstone set link from Garmoth.com. Garmoth.com and BDO Foundry, as well as BDO Codex and Grumpy Green are also great BDO resources, so I highly recommend. That covers pretty much everything I can think of to get you to the end game of Lightstones and artifacts. Do I have any comments from my veteran player base that they want to add either in-game or on-stream that would benefit new players that I didn't cover? And if you're a new player, if you have any questions, this is a great time for you to ask those questions, so please ask those questions. Guys, in totality, we are about 50% through this event. The next lesson is going to be accessories by J-Kun, crystals by me, and then alchemy stones by J-Kun, and weekly activities and close out by Chris and myself. So we are about halfway through, guys.
Just a reminder, I think there was kind of a mix-up earlier when you were talking about heralding crystals. They only drop from Tenebrom, Zephyros, and the group grinds. I think it was mixed up with the end times, which drop from
the lower end areas.
The lower end stuff.
They drop from Rasolka and up.
Everywhere except for Ethereum, basically.
Correct. And then Herald crystals drop specifically from Tenebrom and Zephyros, but they also do come from those bosses as well. So if you're clearing the Tenebrom weekly boss and clearing the Zephyros weekly boss, you also get them from there. You forgot to mention the aesthetic low for Sovereign Weapons and Idania Armors. Weapons and armor, what are you guys doing?
Well, I mean...
Is there an extra armor glow?
The armor has an enhanced glow as it goes up higher in enhancement level. So, but it's only
pen and oct, right?
Turned all the way up. Yes. Well, it has 3 different stages. I think it's like pen to oct is 1 step up, and then oct to deck is the final level. But sovereign weapons have the special color change things now you can get, right?
I have a couple
of dyes,
I can show you mine, but you can kind of dye your weapon, like mine now has a red glow to it. That comes from endgame grind spots, but that will go over during the additional information. In fact, I'll even add that right now to cover that.
I think if you guys are not sure what artifacts and Lightstone sets to use, don't hesitate to check with others who are very familiar with your specific class. And if you're experiencing any kind of detrimental stat effect, then definitely that's something that you might want to consider making adjustments to.
Did you cover the Dekia artifact and how to get the artifacts? I did cover the Dekia artifacts, but I didn't specifically talk about how to get the evasion versus DR1. The DR1 drops from both Ash Forest at a very low rate on Dekia 2 Ash Forest, and it drops from Olin's Valley. And I think the evasion one drops from the exact same spots, if I'm not mistaken.
Remember that you can use the Monster Zone info to search specifically for drops. So you can search for example, the damage reduction artifact and where that drops. And if you want to check drop rates, Garmoth.com actually has drop rate averages, which is what I often use to see the best place to get the most out of my time grinding for something.
So the Dekia artifacts, like I said, do drop from Ash Forest. You can get the whole item, but it is pretty rare. I grinded for every single pity of mine. So it was 200 pities for my damage reduction artifact. So let me see. Okay, yeah. So you can see that Gyfenrasia Temple has a chance to drop them, the upper one. This is I think it's still a group spot. Miramok Ruins, the new group spot, has a chance to drop them. You can get the whole artifact. Olin's Valley has a chance to drop them, and Ash Forest has a chance to drop them. Of these, the only solo spot here is going to be Ash Forest, Dekia 2, right? You can go to Gyfenrasia. I think the most popular place right now to grind these is actually Miramok Ruins, because it is relatively low AP compared to the others, and it is a very, very chill grind spot with a group of friends. But you can go to Olin's Valley as well and grind them there. But I think the preferred spot is Miramok Ruins. I will say that there is an additional benefit to grinding at Olin's Valley, and that is perhaps like getting your the Orzekia outfit pieces and your merchant ring piece. So a lot of people like Olin's Valley for that reason, but Miramok Ruins is another very chill choice. The Dekia's fragments, this is the items you'll need to craft them. You can craft both the DR or the evasion version of the artifact. You just need 100 of them, and you can see the materials required by just going in, and this is what I recommend everyone does if they haven't already done it, pre-order them. I strongly recommend pre-ordering them. The pre-orders do fill, they just fill slowly, but yes, pre-order these artifacts. If you need them, if you want them for PvP, you must pre-order them as well as grind them, because if you don't do both, it's going to be a very long haul for you. Good question, Ecstasy IRL, or good comment. Anyone else have any other questions or comments for artifacts and Lightstones before we move on? They have the same drop, any Dekia 2 or Gyphon or Miramok. Yeah, they do have the same drop rate, or the same drop item. I think the spot is just basically on how chill the spot is. I think a lot of people like to grind in Miramoks because it's just, like I said, it's a kind of a relaxed spot. It's not that crazy, and it's a nice spot to do with friends. It's like a kind of a social grind. I really enjoyed doing my my Dekia grind for it at Olin's because of that. It was like more of a social activity. We were kind of like min-maxing between friends, so that was fun. Without any further questions, we're going to move on to accessories, which will be led by Jacob.
Perfect. So, yeah, now that we covered how to improve your damage through weapons, artifacts, lightstones, this naturally leads us to another major source of character power, accessories. So accessories in Black Desert will mainly provide more AP and accuracy. There are some more niche accessories that will provide defensive stats, which can be potentially useful for certain classes, but we'll stick with the regular offensive accessories since that is the main goal for end game. Most newer player progressions will look something like this: Tuvala accessories from seasons, Kaposha accessories from graduating from seasons and also from leveling up, and boss grade accessories then finally transitioning into Karazad accessories. So starting off, Tuvala accessories are pretty straightforward. They give you some free pen Tuvala accessories as you level up to level 61 and are fairly easy to upgrade a pen. And then once you graduate, you can pick up a Kaposha accessory from the season rewards. Most people go with the necklace, since it provides the most stats out of all the Kaposha accessories at 30 AP. You can also receive some Kaposha accessories from leveling up. And so if you have a high level 61, 62, 63, 64, you will receive some tri-Kaposha accessories, which you can also upgrade up to pen if you, I forgot to get a screenshot of it, but if you go to your currency tab, there should be a fish you can exchange. The, what's it called? How do you pronounce it? Is it
The Coelacanth.
Yeah, that one. You know what I mean? So that one you can exchange for Dreamy Balance Stones, which you can use 7 of them to upgrade Try to Tet, guaranteed, and 14 of them to upgrade from Tet to Pen, guaranteed. Afterwards, I do recommend picking up a pair of distortions off the market. They do provide a huge amount of AP gain, and your DP is like not that big of an issue early game. There's not too many things that will like kill you too easily early game, so the extra AP is nice for just killing things before they kill you kind of thing. And so afterwards, I do recommend doing the Jatina pen accessories. You can access this by, if you go to press O to open your quest tab, go to suggested, it should be under the tab for pen gear, the Old Moon's best offer. And so you want to talk to the Black Spirit. It should, I think it's from the Black Spirit. Yeah, it should lead you to talk to Jatina. And then once you do that, there should be a new icon right here to the top left of the equipment tab. When you press I of your gear wheel, there should be a little icon. Looks like a little Black Spirit, I think. I'm not sure. I guess it's not. Maybe it's like a scroll or something. I don't know. But once you open that menu, you'll see this. You can either choose a Tungrad earring, a Narc earring, or a Crescent ring. I recommend the Crescent ring. It does provide the most amount of stats out of the other 2 accessories, and upgrading it is fairly straightforward. You start with Pry on the left here. You have to basically insert the item in here. I think you just right click it and you can insert a base ring here, 50 of these Old Moon catalysts, which you can buy from any Old Moon vendor. If you open up the magnifying glass in the top right, I think there's also an escape menu for it, but there's a find NPCs function, and you just type Old Moon and it should be the Old Moon manager. There's one in each town, and they should sell the Old Moon Catalyst, and then get your black stones, get your magical shards, which are pretty standard these days. And the Yona fragment, I would say, is the only one that's like a little bit annoying for a new player. You have to go all the way to Valencia and talk to an NPC called Osadilla. They are the arms dealer in the town, and I don't think there should be a requirement. I think it's only just 30 energy from what I have researched. You just talk to her, get the knowledge to do special heating, and once you have the special heating unlocked, you can heat most accessories for additional Yona fragments, and that's how you get your Yona fragments for here. And so these Jatine accessories are a nice stepping stone, because let's say you're moving on to Charizard accessories and you want to improve past this, you can actually melt them back down into Essence of Dawns. You would need to go to the Old Moon Manager. Again, you can search it up with the Find NPCs function and buy something called a Dawn's Aura. Heating it alongside the Jatina specific accessory will give you exactly 100 Essence of Dawns. So you kind of get your money back pretty much when you spend the money on this. If you're wondering how much it costs, I guess it would depend on the market, but last time I checked, it was like maybe 7-8 bill or something like that. And then you get the 100 Essence of Dawns, which, that kind of covers most of the cost back to you, which you can then either sell back to the market for the Essence of Dawns or use them yourself when upgrading Charizard accessories, which leads us to our next stepping stone, which is getting to those Charizard accessories. There's a couple of different methods I want to cover. The first method is crafting it from base. So this is the recipe. It costs 50 Essence of Dawns, 300 magical shards, and a base Deboreka accessory of that type. So the necklace for the necklace, belt for the belt, etc., etc. And so alternatively, you can exchange a Tet Deboreka for a Pen Charizard and start enhancing up from there. And so that will provide you with a Pen Charizard and also a free Jin Dawn Crystal. I'll just reference it. So the Charizard accessories unlock the crystal slots at the bottom for anybody who's wondering what all those locked ones are. And that allows you to put in the different color versions. There's an AP one, a DP one, a evasion one. You kind of think of them as allowing you to customize your Charizard accessory into a different kind of accessory. So for example, the Tungrad accessories are usually the accessories that provide additional Black Spirit Rage. And so if you have the Charizard to provide additional Black Spirit Rage for the Charizard, you would use the purple versions of these Dawn Crystals. And then for the accessory I showed you in the beginning, the Kadri rings, these are DP accessories. So if you use the blue crystals, they basically kind of turn your Charizard crystal into a Kadri version that's scaled up to the Charizard. So that's kind of like the gist of what these crystals are. And then you can also exchange a Pen Deboreka for a Nav Charizard. The material for enhancing a deck Charizard is a little bit different and requires something called Dawn Blackstones, which are only acquired from Dark Rifts, and these spawn every 5 to 6 days. I think the exact timer is 120 hours, so make sure you do them as they spawn, because the earlier you do them, the earlier they should spawn. It starts that 120-hour respawn timer. Each of these methods have some pros and cons for how you go about them, right? So if you want to enhance it, it's always a gamble and a risk, right? At the same time, you can skip the whole process if you're lucky, which I have seen a lot of people do get lucky, right? But I have seen an equal amount of people also get unlucky. So if you save up and buy the Deberekas or enhance the Deberekas yourself in order to exchange the Charizards, you can avoid some of that RNG in the process. So numbers wise, it is technically more cost efficient to save up 150 to 200 billion silver. Shout out to Bairog Han for creating the BDO Workshop website. You guys should check it out. He has a lot of useful spreadsheet kind of stuff over there if you want to see like the numbers behind what's the most efficient. But yeah, buying is the most efficient, but at the same time, saving up that much money can be quite daunting and overwhelming, especially if you're a new player. So you could do a half measure, buy the Tet Deboreka for about 20 bill, exchange that for a Pen Charizard enhanced to deck from there. right? So, choose the route you want to take. I think both routes are valid. And lastly, you can add cups to your accessories to add additional stats. The yellow cups up here usually provide offensive stats like crit damage and AP, and the blue cups usually provide defensive stats like HP and damage reduction. Each type is specific to a type of accessory, each cup. So read carefully for which one is for. The cups here at the bottom, these are for the chapterized accessories specifically, and they basically combine the stats of the blue and yellow. So if something gave AP for the yellow version and something gave DR, right? So for example, the belt upgrade, right? The yellow one gave 3, and the blue one gave 6, and the burgeoning dusk, which is the combined version, gives both. So it basically just combines the cups. I do recommend kind of waiting until you have chapterized accessories before you add a cup upgrade, since extracting the cup can be a little bit annoying. There's 2 ways to extract the cup. You can extract it for free, but it will destroy it. So to do that, you have to go to Glitch in Olvia Realm, specifically Olvia Realm, and go into this house that leads you to an underground section in Glitch. Again, it has to be Olvia Realm, and you'll find an NPC called Legenti, who is an elf, and she will give you the quests to remove the cups from your ring. And then the other way to extract the cup is making the refined essence of emotions, which requires 20 fused crystal of emotions, 10 forest furies, and 200 magical shards. You can either buy each of these fused crystal of emotions for 50 million each at Wakitoshi, so 20 times 50 would be 1 bill just for that, or you can use the different shards of night from Serendia Olvia to heat up 1 each to craft 1. So you can save a little bit of money there if you have some extra shards. If you wanted to grind yourself the cups, you can grind the shards of night in Serendia Olvia zones and then upgrade it into the cups, and then make sure you also pick up the Marnie stone from Wakitoshi for wherever you're grinding. And if you kill that amount of mobs, that should fill up the stone with the souls or something like that, and then you can exchange it for additional shards. Or actually, there's one more way to get shards, is grinding certain Dekia zones. So for example, Mirmok Ruins drops something called Void Tainted Whispers, and I think Dekia, the version of Gythins, also drops the Void Tainted Whispers. I have to double check that, but Mirmok for sure drops these, and these can be exchanged in the currency tab for additional shards of night as well. And then one more thing to mention, occasionally there are some events that also drop currency that you can exchange for shards of night where you grind anywhere. But that should be everything, I think. Yeah, that should conclude my lesson on progressing accessories. So if anybody has any questions on our lesson today, let me know, or forever hold your peace.
They're peas or they're peas?
They're peas. They're peas and carrots.
Something that did come up was melting down accessories for the Essence of Dawns. You do need a Dawn's Aura, which you purchase from an Old Moon manager with that accessory when you need it, in order to get those essences.
And if you wanted to see the exact drop rate, you can go to BDO Codex, which I will do so right now. Essence of Dawn, and then you can see what it processes it into how many. They also show it on the BDO website, but it's easier if I just show you while the screen is being shared right here. So product of recipe. So you can see exactly how much you're getting for the exchange. So I remember I told you that the Jatina accessory gives you 100 exactly. So this one is like a real crescent. So the real crescent, the non-Jatina crescent, will give you 200. I can actually, that's an ad.
I can actually give you a faster process in game. If you go to crafting notes and you type in the Dawn's Aura, you actually can see the breakdown
can you see it there too?
Amount there. Yeah. So in game.
Before you navigate away from this page, this will transfer over to the next lesson, which is going to go into crystals. So we're going to start with the Dawn's crystals. So hold here while we answer questions. Anything regarding accessories or how to get to that we haven't already covered?
Oh, one other thing I want to add too for the Essences of Dawn, if you happen to get a specific type, like evasion, damage reduction, accuracy, you can convert those into regular Essence of Dawns. I believe it's at Dalashane.
You have a really good question.
Michael
about
does
life skill ones,
bring a point. Yeah, with life skills. I completely forgot about that. But I could do a quick TLDR of the life skill accessories.
We're not life skillers here. What the heck?
So there's some free ones you can get from the currency tab, I believe, called Floramos accessory. So that's a good starting point. Is once you finish your seasons, you should get some Seals of Journey, and you should see a box for some Floramos accessories. Unless they remove them, where the heck are they?
No, they're still
there. They are. I'm blind.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. Yeah, so you can get 2 of them from there. And in the past, it was like from a quest line too. I think they just shoved them into the currency. I don't know if you can get it from that quest. I don't know if that's an event. So that's a good starting point for that. And I believe that is equivalent to a Tri-Manos.
Yes, they're
accessory
equal to
in
try.
terms of stats. Yes. The other way to improve your life skill accessories is the Logia. Logia is where you start. Loggia, Logia accessories. And some people like to make them and get them up to maybe like Tri or Tet. It's not very expensive to just get like a decent amount of mastery going, especially if you're just starting out. I would personally skip the blue accessories. There are some niche uses for it. For example, in life skilling, the maximum cap for mastery is 3,000. And so you don't really need the highest top tier accessories called Preon accessories in order to reach 3k, because of additional buffs here and there. You might just need, I'm pretty sure you only need like a Tet or a Pen, a blue accessory to reach the cap if you just had. But if you did want to go past that, the Manos accessories can be exchanged as well. So if you have a Tet Manos accessory, you can exchange a Tet Manos for a, I think it was a Tri-Preon, right?
A Tet Manos for, I don't know if it's Tet for Tri. I made mine from base, so I don't recall, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and then for Pen, I believe it was Oct. Yeah, it was a little bit different from Karazad. I could look into it real quick. Preon accessories BDO. Yeah, it is. So here I can put a screenshot of it, and then I can put it on screen as well. Open image link to our page.
Like Michael said, a Tri-Manos is exchangeable for a base Preon, and I believe you can do the Floramos as well. I'm not 100% though.
I'm not 100% on that either. I don't know if you can. I've never tried exchanging my Floramos.
Yeah, me neither.
But yeah, for sure, the Tri-Manos is, you know, if you see on screen here, for a base Preon, and then Tet Manos for Tri, and then Pen Manos for an Oct. And these accessories can actually be bought off the market, unlike Karazad's. Karazad's, you cannot put them on the market, but Preon accessories, for some reason, you can. You can buy them off the market if you do wish.
I didn't know that.
I believe the deck is about 300 bill, 350
Yeah, you
bill.
definitely can. I'm buying these. Forget that. I'm buying this. I'm not. This stuff is crazy.
Is one more thing to note is that enhancing them is it does require the concentrated magical black stones, but they don't have a fail stack. You don't use fail stacks for them. It's just a base drop rate. Oh, sorry, not base drop rate, base enhancement rate. You can cron them, but because they have that base enhancement rate, there's no way to improve the chances, right? So it is kind of easier to get those Karazads up due to, you know, being able to use a higher fail stack. So you're kind of just at the mercy of complete RNG. There's no way to, like, you know, lean more towards improving your chances with a fail stack. You just gotta tap and pray, or try to buy it. But at the same time, buying, because it's so annoying to craft, there's not many people trying to sell it in the first place, right? I kind of feel like the only people trying to sell a deck pre-owned is somebody who's like quitting the game or something like that, right? Because if you make a deck pre-owned, you're not making it for profit, you're making it to use. So it's kind of difficult to buy it, and so you kind of have to watch the market carefully for anybody who does post it. At the same time, I have a friend. Okay, here's a story. I won't name any names, but I have a friend that would sell their life skill accessories all the time to put money into their gear, like the grinding gear, and then they would sell their grinding gear to rebuy the life skill accessories and all that gear, and then do it again. You know the same guy is.
It's got to be the same guy because I know a guy who does that.
I know. You see, yeah, and so then you might be able to buy those accessories in the market if you know that guy. But yeah, I think that's a good. That's a TLDR of progressing the life skill accessories. You can buy them most off the market. So recap, it's Logia accessories, Floramos accessories, Nanos accessories, and then pre-owned accessories.
Wonderful. Thank you, bro. Can you go back to that page where you had the crystals up?
Yes.
Any other questions regarding accessories before we move on, guys? All right, that being said, we're moving on to crystals. So as you unlock your chapterized crystals, like Jay Kun was mentioning earlier, you unlock slots at the bottom of your crystal accessory, or your crystal slots, or your crystal page. And we'll get into that in just a second. Hold that page right there. I'm going to go back to in-game for a second. Okay. I'm going to use my crystal loadout as a great example here. So this bottom row of crystals is unlocked as you progress through the game through chapterized accessories. Every chapterized accessory you equip unlocks one of these, and this is where it gets really important. This is part of why chapterizeds are so much better than the other accessories available to you, because this is what lets you customize and build differently. As you can see, I have Han all AP crystals in there. We'll get into how you get Han crystals in a minute, but you want to start with you can create the base version of this crystal by just using Essences of Dawn and heating them up with, the actual recipe. So you can get the lower tier versions from grind spots like Dokebi Forest and Hunglin Base. You can get the lower tier ones. You can also just craft this yourself. It takes 30 Essence of Dawn, 10 Blackstone Powder, and 300 magical shards. So once you fill out all your chapterized accessories, this is your first part to start with, right? You want to get 6 of these guys. So it's going to take you 6 times 300 magical shards, 6 times 30 Essence of Dawn, and 6 times 10 Blackstone powders, right? That's how you get the Jin Magical Dawn crystals. Then you can upgrade each one of those to the Han version by using crystallized energy of end time shards by 100. So to maximize one PvE set, you'll need 600 crystallized energy of end time shards to max out all your stuff to the Han version, which is going to give you more AP for your grinding. And it's also actually really good for PvP, right? You can do that with all different types of stuff. So if I go into my diamond set, for example, I have DR crystals in here. You can see I've upgraded these as well. It gives you more HP, not more DR. It gives you more HP. I think it gives you a little more DR. I don't really remember it. But it gives you more HP per upgrade as well. And it also works for accuracy. So if you go to your accuracy, right, your accuracy gem, it gives you more accuracy and less AP loss per Han crystal. So you want to start with the Jins and then work your way to the Hans. Right? When it comes to the accuracy and DR, if you can't get to them, because they can be pretty expensive to get the accuracy and the DR ones depending on your needs, right? You can just put the basic ones in. These are cheap. They're like 100 million. You can just put them in. It's not a massive stat difference. You get into like the high-end min-max stuff. All right. Now we're going to move on to the rest of these crystals. And as we talk about these crystals, I'm just going to show you the best in slot for PvE. I'll explain why they're the best in slot for PvE based on my opinion. And then I'll show you some PvP stuff to help you get started. But you have to PvP is a little more nuanced. You got to build accordingly to your own build. Okay, so this is my overall PvE build. This is my uncapped build. If I am fighting a spot where I need every ounce of AP that I can get, this is my build for uncapped PvE. I'll explain each crystal, how to get it, and why I arrived at these crystals, okay? We're going to start with the Rebellious Spirit Crystal. These, between the two of them, are going to offer you 5 AP slots. Oh, sorry. Before I dive into that, you want to unlock these extra slots, right? These are 4 extra slots. 2 of them come from Land of the Morning Light. 2 of them come from putting your Garmoth Heart in your shield. It's that simple. Or your offhand, I should say, not your shield. But you do the Dokebi, like, I'm sorry, I hate to be the guy to bear this bad news, but you do have to do these, to find these awful chests in Land of the Morning Light. It is a absolute slog.
It's fun.
It was not fun. It was fun.
So fun.
Oh my god. It was fun, like having your nails ripped off fun.
The treasure hunt.
No, it was torture. It was modern torture. You will do those, and you will eventually unlock these 2 additional crystal slots, and these are really, really important. All right, getting these 2 crystal slots is really important. All right. So first, we're going to start with the Rebellious Spirit Crystal. You can buy this yourself, or you can craft it using a Black Spirit Crystal, an Awakened Spirit Crystal, and a Voltar Spirit Crystal using Simple Alchemy. They're pretty easy to get nowadays. They used to be pretty hard to get, but now they're pretty easy to get thanks to Guild Boss Rushes, because they drop from Guild Boss Rushes. You also get them as quest rewards. These aren't crazy expensive. Just buy off the marketplace. You can spend about 500 million silver each. I recommend getting 2 of them. This is a good, really nice, easy upgrade. You're talking about 10 extra AP and an additional 10 extra AP for monsters. So this is a 20 AP gain in PvE. You also get skill experience, and you're going to get 350 extra HP across the board for those 2 crystals. So very, very valuable to have. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the Crystal Voids of Acrid, right? So you have your Acrid crystals, which you get from, I think it's Thornwood, right? You get your Acrid crystals from Thornwood, or you could just buy them. Again, a lot of times you can grind them yourself, or you can buy them. This is one of those things I recommend you just buy. You can see they're just sitting on the marketplace. They're not expensive. They're not hard to get. All right, you can buy this, right? And then what you want to do is you're going to upgrade them. So you buy that crystal, and you're going to upgrade them by applying a Glorious Crystal of Gallantry Acrid, 30 Void Gems, and magical Lightstone crystals and Blackstones. So the Glorious Crystal of Gallantry Acrid is the upgraded Acrid crystal. So let's go into that one. So glorious. So you take your Acrid crystal, your basic one, your basic Acrid. You can upgrade this using Essences of Gallantry. And here we go. So Essence of Gallantry has a few different ways you can get it. You can get it from Node Wars, or you can get it from Solare, and sometimes it's offered as event rewards. There's a few different ways you can get it, but definitely recommend getting these. Yeah, you can get these from Solare as well. I think they're on the weekly. These are daily exchange, so you can get 1 a day. So in a matter of a month, you can have the whole thing if you're using the Solare method. But Node Wars is honestly the easiest way to get it, and I get that. And then you can create the Glorious Crystal of Gallantry. The Gem of Voids. These come from Orzekia. The Orzekia dungeon is located in Ataraxian. It is the grind spot in Ataraxian. So you'll go to the Ancient Stone Chamber. You'll walk all the way to the back to Ataraxian. You'll jump into the door, and it's not the final dungeon where you fight Elezra. It's the one before that. You go into the Olvia version, I think. You can't get it from the regular version. And Olvia version will drop Gems of Void, right? Use those Gems of Void to place into these Crystals of Void to upgrade those. Additionally, you do the same thing with your Crystals of Destruction. You get yourself some Crystals of Destruction, which is a Crystal of Precise Destruction, and you infuse those with 30 Gems of Void. On the Acrids, right, you're going to get Accuracy, which is negligible in PvE, but you're going to get 2% attack speed across the 2 of them and 18 monster AP across the 2 of them. That's a lot of damage, right? Between the Crystal Voids of Destruction, you're going to get 16 extra monster damage. Again, accuracy, negligible, but you'll get the critical hit you need, so you're maxed out a critical hit. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put in Corrupted Gluttony Crystals. Corrupted Magic Crystal comes from Star's End. You can grind them yourself. You can craft them out of materials that drop in Star's End. And then from the new Star's End, you can get drops for Gluttony Crystal. Now, these ones I believe are on back order, so I don't recommend trying to buy them unless you can't grind here. I would just grind them myself. I grinded these in about 6 hours. Right, 6 hours per crystal. You can see they're really, really back ordered. It's kind of tough to get your hands on these because they're necessary, but you're going to want those because they give you extra damage on your Corrupteds. So Corrupteds, what they're going to do is between the 2 of them, right, you're going to get 20% critical extra hit damage, 5 AP, and you're going to lose 2 DR across 2. So you're going to get 20 extra critical hit damage, 10 extra AP, and minus 4 DR. However, there is a set effect bonus where you get 2 extra critical hit damage. So you're actually getting 22 extra critical hit damage and the AP as well and everything else. So the Corrupted Crystals of Gluttony, very, very valuable. The next thing you're going to want, this is a preference. You can change this out with something else if you'd rather have a different type of crystal, but the premise is the same. The Crystals of Brutal Decimation, remember we were talking earlier about class preference and attack preferences. I go for back attack damage. These 2 crystals are going to give me an extra 2% damage on the back attack, because this is going to give me avoidance that cap, right? Because it's percentage-based damage. And it's going to give me 18 monster damage. So it does both. It's a double tap for me. It gives me AP and it gives me percentage-based damage, right? The next thing you're going to want is, you have a couple choices here. You can put in some Macalods here. You can put in some what are they called? Go to them quick. The Macalods, or I want to get the exact name for you. Yeah, you can get the ultimate combined magic crystal of Macalod, or you could put in a crystal of Stalwart Fortitude. I'm going with Stalwart Fortitude, and I'll explain why. With the Macalods, right, let's look at our crystal list. With the Macalods, right, you get, between the 2 set, you get 3 AP per plus 5 AP for the set. So you're going to get 11 more AP. You get 160 more stamina and 4 accuracy and 6 combat percent XP. Accuracy and combat percent XP isn't that valuable to me, and the stamina is negligible in PvE for me, right? So the thing that I go for instead is I go with the Crystals of Stalwart Fortitude. It gives me the 10 extra monster AP between the 2 of them, and it gives me monster DR plus 10. It also gives me a type of resistance that maybe I'm not building for. So very, very valuable, right? I lose 1 monster AP, but I gain 10 monster DR. So you make that choice as you want. I prefer the monster DR because I view in PvE, my health is a resource that I'm in exchange for damage. I can do an unprotected attack to put out damage in exchange for my health with monsters. So that is something that you must decide. So the more DR you have, monster DR you have, the better off you are, because again, you have that resource to exchange, right? The next thing you're going to want is these Sakraya crystals, right? So you have a form of resistance. Every grind spot will have a mob type that does either knockdown, stiff, stun, free. Well, no, I don't think anyone does freeze, but stiff, stun, bound, float, whatever. Find out, again, in the Monster Zone info. We talked about this earlier, but I'll demonstrate it again. You go to Monster Zone info, right? Find out the grind area you're going to grind in. Let's say you're saying, hey, you know what, man? I really want to go grind at, I don't know, City of the Dead, right? City of the Dead doesn't have a resistance type that you need, so you're not really worried about it, right? But now let's say you're going from the City of the Dead to, let's go to Nymphomari Castle. Now, Nymphomari Castle mobs drop stun, stiff, and freezing. You're going to get CC'd a lot by these mobs. So you're going to want to max out 100% your resistance on these mobs, but you also don't want to give up your AP, and that's where these crystals come into play. So now you get a resistance type, but between these two, and any buffs you're running, you're going to hit 100%. You're going to get 100% resistance on whatever that mob is, right? So the reason that the Sakraya crystals matter is you go to Sakraya, Underground Sakraya, the new spot, right? The new Underground Sakraya, and you're going to get Sakraya shards, or you can pre-order off the marketplace. Either one is fine. It is a little expensive to get it off the marketplace, but because of the drop rate of these shards being abysmal, I actually did this. I've done this myself. I prefer it this way, right? But it gives you extra AP against monsters plus the resistance you need to reach 100%, because this is like 25% resistance plus 25% resistance. So these two by themselves give me knockdown bound resistance to 50%. Then these will give me another 20%, right? So I'm looking at 70% baseline resistance before we talk about any like tent buff or house buff or anything else, right? So it's definitely worth doing that way. And you get 4 additional monster damage per crystal, so it ends up being 8. So Sakraya shards are the things you're going to want. Yeah, I know it's a lot of math, but this is like all min-maxing shit that you're going to want to know. All right, and for PvE in general, you want the Jiren's tier. Like, without a doubt, you want the Jiren's tier. It is the best one for PvE. It offers you a 10% increase to your drop rate. It's honestly a great crystal to have. There's no reason to run anything other than that in PvE. Now, on to the last one, which is the Han Crystal of Dusky Ruin. Dusky Ruin's a little bit of a controversial one, right? you only get the AP benefit from this in Edania. However, I use this everywhere. And the reason I use this everywhere is because if you notice the second stat, monster damage reduction plus 20. That's a lot. You can go to any spot in Edania and get a lesser version of this, but the highest end version of this is going to come from Tenebrom or Zephyros. It drops in full and it drops in shards. And the same thing happens all the way down to Aetheron. You can get the basic version in Aetheron, you can get the second version in Orisolka's Castle, you can get the third version in Orbita. This is a great crystal to have just because the monster reduction is really, really valuable. And you can sell the shards when you don't need them. This one can't be traded in the marketplace. But even if I need AP, I'm always running this because 20 DR is a lot of monster DR to have. That kind of covers the PvE crystals. If you want, you can take a look at this again and just kind of copy this as much as you want. I think this is a general build. It works pretty much for everybody. The only thing you can really swap out is the type of resistance you're going to want. And maybe if you want a different type of attack instead of back attack, you can swap those out. But generally speaking, this is, in my opinion, best in slot for PvE. So if you mimic this, if you go for this, if this is what you put in, you're going to be just fine. Moving on to PvP, this is a much broader question. PvP has a lot of different types of crystals, and I can't answer which is going to be the best for you for the situation you're in. Generally, this is my general build. I have a mix between defense and offense, but I have specialized builds for everything, to include accuracy builds, to include DR builds. It just depends on what I'm up against. So for your crystal builds, understanding what your needs are and what is most important is really, really specific to your class and to your playstyle. So for that, I strongly recommend going to a class Discord and asking what the best in slot for PvP is. For PvE, once again, this is generally your best uncapped build. Now, if you're at a capped PvE spot where you are way over the AP count, you're not really worried about monster AP, you can put this in. This gives you a little more defense. That's all there is to it. It just gives you more defense. So it's generally the same thing. I even have an old crystal. I don't really use this one very much, to be honest with you. I just don't need it. But if you're at cap and you're not worried about it. So I think that covers crystals. What are your questions? It's a lot. Crystals is a lot to absorb because it can be so different based on the player's preference. Wasn't focused, you can repeat? Yeah, it'll be on YouTube. You can watch it again then.
It is a lot. It is a
lot. It's a lot.
The stats in BDO are probably the most complex part of your build, but it's kind of like add-ons too. Like it can make a significant difference.
Ecstasy is asking, did you talk about combo with artifact Lightstones for 100% resistance? Honestly, you don't need to do that. You do not need to put resistance to your Lightstones. You are wasting the stat slot because you are getting them for free with a lot of your AP crystals. So again, looking at my uncapped AP, I'm getting 10 monster AP and 10 monster DR here, plus 20% resistance. I'm getting 4 monster AP plus 50% DR resistance to any type of CC effect that I want. I would not recommend combining them with Lightstones. You are wasting your Lightstone slot. When to use back attack crystals and when to use crit damage. If you find yourself not getting behind enemies, that's when you start using crit damage over back attack. I prefer back attack because I will just move behind the enemy. It's just that simple. If you're a class that just has really slow attacks and you don't find yourself getting behind enemies very often, 1, skill issue. 2, you can run crit. It's just skill issue.
No. Listen.
No.
Listen,
Linda.
Linda.
Listen, No.
Listen, Linda.
Skill issue.
All right. I use back attack. I play Sucknova first of all, which does have slow attacks. I use back attack when I'm doing solo targets like boss blitzes, guild bosses, whenever it's like just a big target that I can easily get behind. I use crit damage for grinding because for the most part, mobs are running at your face, and it's much more reliable to get crit damage on all your hits than to guarantee you can get behind them for most of those hits. And that's just it's a personal preference. I think I would try both and see if you're improving your speed at all with one or the other. I think it is actually a noticeable difference depending on how you play in your class. So
here's the reality. Most grind spots have a specific large mob that you want to be behind to do damage. So like, let's think of Dark Seeker's Retreat, for example, right? The 2 big guys spawn in the middle. You want to get behind those 2 big guys and deal back attack damage. The little guys are just going to die. So you don't really need to worry about getting behind the little ads. So if the grind spot you're in only has little adds, which is very few spots, you can run critical hit damage. But if the spot you're in has large mobs that you want to focus down, you definitely want back attack and just get behind them. Otherwise, skill issue. You talk about the trick of going for amplified special attacks for PvP for classes that has down attack, back attack, air attacks, or is it PvE? Like I said, PvP ones, I'll be here literally all day explaining the different ones for PvP because it's so specific to your class and your situation and what you're up against. So that's why I'm kind of more focused on the PvE aspect of it right now.
We did talk about if you're reaching cap to use percentage modifiers instead.
Yeah, we did go over using percentage modifiers earlier if you're at cap. But yeah, generally speaking, if you're like none of the thing you just said, Zeroden, makes sense, just copy this. It's literally that simple. If you're uncapped, copy this. If you're at cap, copy this. It's just that easy.
One thing to note is that since crystals do break in PvE, there are some ways to help prevent breaking it, and that is something called death penalty resistance. And you can actually stack quite a bit of it, but most of it is kind of locked behind Pearl Shop stuff, but I do want to mention it just in case you guys do want to swipe a bit. So your costume, the 8-set bonus. So your full set of 7 costumes and then your underwear completes the 8-set bonus, and that provides 10% death penalty resistance. Another source is from pets. If you have a tier 5 pet and 4 tier 4 pets, the tier 4 pets give 4% each. So that's 21% total with a tier 5, and that all stacks additively. So that's 31% total death penalty resistance. And then one more source is your fairy outfit. There's specific fairy outfits that give minus 5% death penalty resistance. I don't know if you have it yourself, Zeroden, but I have the Cabellius outfit on my fairy, which provides minus 5%. Oh, you have you can click the appearance here. Do you have the Cabellius one? You know that one? Okay, so that one gives 5%. I don't know if you can buy it right now. It might be a seasonal thing, but that will be a total of 36% death penalty resistance. And right now it's been extremely useful for me because I've been trying out some new classes, as I've been mentioning lately in the stream. Is for the past like 4 or 5 days I've tried out Scholar, Draconia, and Dark Knight so far at Star's End, and I have died like at 5 or 6 times on each of those classes, and let me tell you, I have not lost any crystals yet, surprisingly.
There is one more factor.
And it's been procced many times from that death penalty resistance.
There's one more factor here that most people don't actually know. Your karma affects the likeliness of which your crystals will break, even if you're not negative. If you're at maximum karma, your crystals are much less likely to break, and they're much less likely to break in pairs than if your karma is below. So every time your karma drops a certain number, like let's say you're at 250,000 karma and below, you have a higher chance to break crystals than if you are at 250,000 karma and above. So understand that while I view karma as a currency, if I'm grinding, I'm taking a risk where if I lose my karma, if I'm just above red, I am much more likely to break my crystals than if I am at maximum karma. So if I am at 1,000 karma versus 300,000 karma, there's a big difference in the likeliness of which crystals will break. If you are negative karma, you are guaranteed to break crystals.
I'm wondering if the death penalty resistance would still protect you from that if it does proc.
In negative karma, it will not really do very much for you.
And one more thing I just remembered to was
Meter B to answer your question.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Meter B, to answer your question, you can type in exclamation gear, and you can always find my crystal setups for PvE right on my garmoth.com. I put it on screen for those that are like watching, maybe on YouTube later on. You can just kind of pause the video and see it then. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Jacob.
You're good, you're good. I was just going to say that the Ellie's magical elixir too, the ones we get from events every now and then, also give you another 10%. So you can stack almost 50% death penalty resistance potentially to avoid breaking crystals.
Yeah, and if you're at full comma, that's a pretty good chance that you won't break crystals, but it can still happen. So if you're likely to at least break one. Yeah. Okay. I think that covers crystals in full. Does anyone have any questions about crystals that I didn't cover, or any veterans that want to offer advice or tips that maybe I didn't go over?
Use PV iframes and just don't get hit. That's it.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
That's not related at all to crystals, but yes.
Redgraves asked in chat about resistance caps, and resistances in PvP have been completely removed. There are a standard base of 20% there's no more ignore resist, there's no resistance modifiers now. They just want everything to be 20% for everybody.
That's not true. There's 0% resist in PvP. There's no resistance PvP.
They took it out.
Resistances have been standardized to 20%. Is what it says on the video
Character-based
website.
resistances, not PvP based. That is character. That is PvE.
It's for PvE, Chris.
Yeah, it's for PvE. PvP has 0 resistance.
No more. It's guaranteed CC if you get hit by CC.
So base resistance in PvE is 20%.
Correct.
Yeah.
And isn't there a cap too? It's like 60%?
No, there is no cap. You can get to 100%.
Oh.
There is some classes that have additional base resistance. For example, Witch. I played Witch for 4 years, so I would know this, but Witch has 10% additional base resist, so they would have 30%. I think Zerkers have 10% additional knockdown.
Berserker, Witch, and Wizard have also been brought to 20%. That was a change that was made.
Were they? Oh.
Yeah.
So those are basically just in PvE only. Resistance only works in PvE. And that's why we talk about getting to 100%, because it makes it so the mobs cannot CC you. If you are in PvP, you can still be CC'd. You have no resistance whatsoever. So don't think that stacking resistance is going to help you in PvP. You got to actually dodge.
Learn your super armor, foreguard, all that stuff.
Which we've talked about in the previous live training video for Olvia Academy.
Go back and watch that video.
That's right. All right. Any other questions regarding crystals? It looks like we're hearing crickets on that. So we are ready to move on to the next section, which will be led by Jay-kun regarding Alchemy Stones.
It's me again.
Your turn.
It's me again. So our next topic and our next lesson focuses on another powerful item that provides various stats for both combat and life skills. It's the Alchemy Stone. So Alchemy Stones are special items that provide passive bonuses when activated. There's 3 primary categories: Destruction Stones for offensive stats like attack speed and AP, Protection Stones for defensive stats like damage reduction and HP, and Life Stones for life skill related stats such as gathering item drop rate and life mastery. So starting out, you could just buy a blue-gray Destruction Stone off the market. They're not very expensive, so it's just something to have if that slot is empty, or the Life Spirit Stone version if you plan to do any life skilling. During seasons, you should receive something called a Tacharos's. It's this icon here, Tacharos's. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but his Spirit Stone provides.
Tacros.
Yeah, I think it's
Tacros. Okay, provides similar stats to the Destruction Spirit Stone, but with the added bonus of additional XP. So it's really good if you're trying to get your XP up to level 61, which that's an important level to be at for your free Pen Black Stars that I mentioned earlier in our previous lesson. So do note that the Alchemy Stones that are labeled Spirit Stones generally, and I'm pretty sure all of them cannot be recharged, so you will have to dispose of them eventually. And once you're out of seasons, a nice starter combat Alchemy Stone to use for a while is the Ator's Power Stone, which can be acquired in the Ulukita questline. It's not a very difficult questline. I'm pretty sure you could do it with full Pentuvalo, and you need to have the Medea questline finished, if I'm not mistaken, to unlock it as well. And so this provides 1 sheet AP and similar stats to the blue-grade Destruction Stone. And a unique Alchemy Stone to use for defense that is free to acquire is the Perilla's Star. The Perilla's Star you can get from a seasonal reward. I think in the past I remember doing a quest line for it in regards to Fugar. A little bit of a side story. Perilla is actually Fugar's lover, and she had, it's a little bit of a sad story, but she had moved to Ilya. She kind of had this story where she told Fugar that, hey, like, I don't love you anymore. stuff like that. And Fugar was like very confused and heartbroken about what happened. But when you go over there and find out what happened, it turns out she had some sort of terminal illness, and then she just wanted Fugar to move on from her. So you can, towards the end of the quest line, you can either tell Fugar what had actually happened or lie to him that she had a good life. Either way, he gives you I don't think he directly gives you this. You have to choose it as a season reward, so you can get it as a seasonal reward at the end of seasons. So it's another choice besides the Pen Kapusha accessory, is what I mean by season reward. This Alchemy Stone provides a ton of useful stats, such as monster damage reduction and movement speed. There is another unique Alchemy Stone called Treant's Tier, which provides similar stats to the mid-tier Lightstones, and also a whopping 30% life XP. And I'm pretty sure this is the only, even more than Shining. I don't think Shining gives life 30% XP, but this is the only one that really gives a good chunk of life XP if you want to push your life XP. And so this is nice, and you can do this by, or acquire it by doing the life skill 101 quest from the NPC Fugar. So do this quest line here. It's under suggested, under the quest line called the adventure that does it all. It's towards the end of the quest line you get it. I think it's like 9 quests. There is also a 3-week guild quest you can do to acquire Khan's dim magic. Combining them together will make the concentrated magic. So to get the Khan's dim magic, you do have to be in a guild to do the guild boss. And so I do recommend anybody who's new to try and join a guild, ideally an active guild that does guild bosses. Guild bosses are amazing silver per week, amazing passive income per week. It doesn't take too long to do all the guild bosses, even with Khan, maybe like 30-45 minutes tops, depending on if you're waiting for people to arrive to the spots and stuff like that. So killing Khan once a week for 3 weeks will provide a total of 3 dim magics, and then combine them for a concentrated magic, and you can use the concentrated magic to either make a destruction stone, a protection stone, or a life stone. You might be tempted to go for the destruction stone as it's a direct upgrade from the Ator's power stone, but I do advise against that and just make the Khan's Heart of Life. This is the best in slot one, because of the additional life skill mastery, which you can add on to the better life skill stones, because there's also a better version of Khan's Heart called Vel's Heart. Unfortunately, Vel's Heart is extremely sought after these days because of a lot of new and returning players coming back to the game needing this progression item. So it's going to be a little bit tough to get, so I do recommend putting a buy order on both the concentrated magic and the Vel's Heart directly to increase your chances of getting one. Also, Park and Alted Vel. Also in the summer, there's going to be usually the Sea Palace. And Sea Palace, there is an event with Baby Vel, and that is your best chance to get Vel, not just because you might get it, but because other people might get it who already have the Vel and will sell the extra Vel, right? So that's the point of the events, guys, is although you might not get lucky yourself, maybe you do get lucky, maybe you do get your Vel yourself from the event, but those are your opportunities to get things off the market, is when there's an event specifically to get specific items, like the Night Vendor. Night Vendor was here maybe like a month or 2 ago, and that was your best time to get certain items like the mythical sensors for your T10s, the Vel's Heart also from the Night Vendor. So stuff like that, try to get your opportunity to get this item. This is an important item to get. It will give you 3 sheet AP, which is crazy towards the end game when every single AP is worth hundreds of billions of silver towards the end game. It's insane how it can get, and this 3 sheet AP will add up a lot. So to further upgrade it, you can use something called a Blessed Soul Fragment to provide additional stats. Then with an Exalted Soul Fragment, so I actually covered it here for the Exalted, but the Blessed one is the top one. This one you have to do first. This is the initial upgrade, and then the second upgrade is the Exalted Stone, which will add another 2 DP. So in total, it will be 3 sheet AP and 4 DP, along with a little bit of resistances and monster damage reduction rate. So for this similar thing can be done for the protection stone as well. So like Khan's protection stone that I was using earlier, you can put the exalted and blessed soul here as well. So I do personally recommend buying a yellow grade or higher alchemy stone off the market, since crafting them from base is very tedious and boring. I won't go into detail. I just know that it's fairly available in the market. I promise, the alchemy stones. So you will be able to buy them off the market easily. Even if there's none on the order, you just put a buy order up. But yeah, starting with yellow is a good step. You can combine it with your Vels and you'll get a resplendent Vels destruction stone, which you can then enhance up using faint essence of aether. And this comes from dark rifts. Make sure you're doing your dark rifts. As I mentioned before in our previous lesson, the dark rifts drop Dawn Blackstones, which is required for deck Karazad. They also drop the faint essence of aethers, which you can enhance up into brimming essence of aethers, which is your first step into combining the alchemy stones. So it would be the alchemy stone base, the brimming essence of aether, and the Vel's heart. So like this. We'll turn it into the resplendent version, and then you can also turn it and add the blessed fragments and the exalted fragments. You can extract them with the mirrors of equilibrium from any blacksmith as well, in case you need to do the combination. So this is what mine looks like. This is also what Zeroden has as well, the splendid Vel's heart here. And you can see I am 88 out of 250, so we're like kind of like a third of the way there to our pity here. So to enhance it, you basically open the menu here on the bottom right. If I scroll and zoom in, it's this like swirly icon on the bottom right. If you can see here, click that and it should open this menu on the left. Click polishing growth and insert your alchemy stone here. And then you need to put some sort of metal ingot or something. I used copper ingots, but I'm pretty sure most ingots should work. And once you polish it, it should increase the XP all the way up to 150%. Here it is, 150%. And then once you do that, click growth. And once you have growth, this new menu will appear. And it will tell you the chance to enhance it, and also your pity on the left, and how many materials of essence of aether you need. So in total, we'll just look at these bottom three here. From sharp to resplendent, it is 30 pities, and it requires 10 brimming essences at 3% each. Resplendent to splendid is 80 pities, with 20 brimming essences each. And then finally splendid at 0.4% at 250 pities at 30 brimming essence of aether each. There's no fail stacks for this, it's just the pity. So you get exactly 120 essences of aethers from dark rifts to craft into brimming essences. So again, I recommend doing them as soon as you can. You can actually see the spawn timer by either clicking the bottom left icon. It should look like this in the menu. So you can either go to the menu or the bottom right icon rather. And there should be an icon that looks like a warrior
Chris
helmet.
Chris is going to cover this in weeklies.
Yes.
I'll cover this in weekly.
I'll cover it.
Cover this in weekly?
I'll show you
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so do your dark rifts, guys. Yeah, you get your brimming essence. So once you get those essence of aethers, you can either combine them with Okila's pieces, which you can get from the Old Moon vendor. It's this one, Okila Piece of Moon. They're 50 mil each, and you need 2 pieces for 1 is the recipe.
So your upkeep, just for the record, your upkeep, if you do all your bosses, is going to be 12 billion silver a week.
12 billion, yes. There is a way to make it a little bit cheaper, and that is if sharps go below 5 mil, then sharps are going to save you a little bit of silver, which sharps did go down. If you see here on the market chart here, so it did go down during the blissful box event. The blissful box event was insane. I actually had a 1,000 box opening video on my channel. I had grinded 1,000 blissful boxes, and I got literally like 4,000 or 5,000 sharps from it. So this is when they all dropped down to like 3-4 mil, I think, around here. So that would have been a best time to buy those sharps for these Brimming Essence of Aether. That would save you a little bit of money than 12 bill. And so, oh, and to talk about the chances here again, you might have noticed that the approximate chance to hit something is about the chance you would pity it on average. So for example, the Shining Alchemy Stone, right, 0.4%, right? If we do the basic math of it, 1 out of 250 is 0.4% exactly. And so if you were to pity it, then you're hitting the average. So you can't really, I guess you could say you're unlucky, but you can't really get unlucky on the averages since the average is the pity. So you either get lucky or you get average is pretty much it. So for me, I'm at currently 88 out of 250, so which means I need about 35 to 40 weeks, depending on if I'm upkeeping my Dark Rifts. Hopefully I'm still upkeeping them. But yeah, about 35 to 40 weeks until I eventually pity my Alchemy Stone to Shining. What are you at, by the way, Zeroden, on your Splendid?
I'm at, what's the one before Shining?
No, he's at the same level as you.
Splendid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at the same
He's
level
at
as
how many
you. Yeah, I'm at yeah, how many taps are you in so far?
Maybe 30. I had to pity the previous level, so.
Okay. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. I think oh yes, the Khan's Heart of Life. So you can combine the Khan's Hearts here. Can combine the Khan's Heart of Protection with a Protection Stone to get that extra 2 DP, and the Khan's Heart of Life will provide the 25 Mastery for the Alchemy Stones. So you can do the same thing process with your Vel's Heart for destruction as with the protection for the Khans here, etc., etc. And I guess you can technically put the Khan's Heart too, but you would only get 2 DP. So I don't recommend using the Khan's Heart to combine with your Alchemy Stone of Destruction. It does look cool though. The icon for the Khan's Heart does look cool for the Destruction Stone. But yeah, that pretty much should cover all the Alchemy Stones from base to end game. So any questions so far? Class? Students?
Tendo, the Tendy Tendon, has a question. If you can separate the heart and the Alchemy Stones.
That is a very good question, and I think the answer should be yes, but I'm not 100% sure. I could check that for you real quick.
I'm pretty sure you can at any point. You only need to remove the Blessed and Exalted when you're first combining the Resplendent and above, but you can leave them in for tapping for the next levels. If you do, for some reason, want to separate them, like say, for example, you have a Khan and you now want to use a Vel, you can split them apart again. I believe it's with the same Mirror of Equilibrium, like a Reforge Stone. I believe so. I have notes. I'm trying to find them real quick.
That is a very good question, because I would like to know as well, because that would make sense. Like, let's say you do have your Khan's Heart combined with your Destruction Stone, and then you finally got your Vels and you would want to separate them to add the Vels on, because that would be kind of I don't want to say it's common, but I would say it's a realistic situation that might happen for somebody. So I'm not 100% sure if you can separate. It would make sense you would be able to separate it. I just want to see the recipe for it. Actually, maybe Video Codex might have the answer. If I just type in Splendid Vel and just look at the processing recipe. Okay, so I'm gonna put it up on screen here. And if I look at the processing recipe, it's a product of recipe. And then if I search up maybe the Alchemy Stone, maybe I can see a product of recipe here too. Oh, here's what the Alchemy Stone for Khans look like. It looks really cool. It's like a sapphire. there doesn't seem to be some sort of processing recipe to separate them. So it could either be from the blacksmith, as Chris was saying, or
I do think it's from the
quest.
blacksmith. It's going to work
Yeah, it
very
might be from the
similar to
blacksmith.
like when you take it out a Khan's heart or something, or not a Khan's heart. It's going to be similar like if you take off a Galmoth heart or something.
True. Yeah, that might be how we do it. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions regarding alchemy stones in general, guys? Anything else we can answer? Sniffer
Yeah,
said,
Demi says the mirror as well.
It's the blacksmith. Okay.
Pez Sniffer says combined alchemy stone plus brimming essence of aether is the 2 alchemy stones. To combine them, yeah.
and the next subject is going to be led by Chrysidra. So without further ado, Chris, why don't you introduce your topic, yourself, and so on and so forth.
Alrighty, we're going to be covering weekly activities. And so obviously Jay Kuhn touched on this, and we've been touching on a lot of different issues in this category while we've been talking. First, something I highly recommend most players do, and a lot of people don't know this exists. There is a notepad feature in BDO. You can pull up notes, you can make lists. Oh, here's where I have my alchemy notes. Well, here we go. For example, I actually took notes on making alchemy stones and mirror of equilibrium ×2 to drop from exalted to base, etc., etc. So I actually take notes on things and I put them in here so I could find them game-related notes, right? Big one that I always pull up is my weekly tasks. So I have a weekly task list. Mine is not going to be the same as yours. I don't do a lot of life skilling. So yeah, if you go to, like I have mine pinned, you can search for Notepad and you can pull it up. Like I have daily plans, Olvia Academy notes, Alchemy Stones, weekly tasks, right? So here's my weekly task. I pull them up every Monday and I hit my list here. Obviously there's some things I don't get, but I always recommend if you can get to them, do them. So here's my list, for example. First of all, I would recommend Pit of Undying. It takes about 20 minutes to do if you are just used to doing it and you know the bosses, you know the mechanics. You just get in, get out. The very first time you go there, you have to manually go there. Questline starts at the Black Spirit, and then he tells you to talk to Tranan, Underfoe, and Velia. And that starts the questline that will take you out to the Pit of Undying Island. And then after that, you can simply pull up your escape menu and teleport to the Pit of Undying in your menu. Okay, and that you can teleport from anywhere. So that's definitely an easy one to knock out once a week. I believe it resets after maintenance on Wednesdays, Thursday mornings, right? So yeah, easy one to do. Gets you Cron Stones through the currency exchange. I have my Seals of Undying pinned here so that I can exchange my Crons. I usually just get Cron Stones. If you're a sailor, you might want the Crow coins, or if you're just looking for a starter Alch Stone like we were talking about a minute ago, that's also a good option. But basically Cron Stones is the way to go for most people for the Pit of Undying. Let's see. So, we're all pretty busy. We have real lives, friends, families. Books we're reading, shows we're watching. We don't want to spend hours and hours and hours a day grinding or running circles for profit. So finding the best way to spend our time and make a decent amount of money is kind of the best way to keep the game fun and still make progress. So after Pit of Undying, I would definitely recommend Dark Rifts. Like Jay Kuhn was mentioning, there's the UI in the bottom right here, boss info. You can actually pull up your Dark Rift bosses, which ones are spawned, how much longer until it respawns. You can navigate to them if you're not sure where they are. I would say you should be able to do these with a seasonal character. In fact, I think there's a seasonal quest that even has you kill one Dark Rift boss still. So they're fairly easy to do and give you some really nice rewards. Even just the gold bar boxes are prepping you for making Dream Horse attempts, enhancing your Karazads, upgrading your Alch Stones, just so many good things from here. It also tells you world boss spawns here. So if you want to see how long for these bosses, as well as field bosses, and even hunting and sniper bosses if you are a hunting fan. So all of that's all in the same boss info UI, which is super handy. The next one I would recommend is the Edania Lord fight. So if you can qualify for Edania, you definitely want to start with Jordan in Ethereum. If you're not sure whether or not you qualify, you can always pull up your quest log, go to recurring, and then you can see For the Throne at the very top. tells you the required APDP to do that boss fight. Now, if you do qualify for a boss fight, say for example, you barely qualify for Jordine, you can then pick up the weekly quest for up to Nymphomare. Basically, by doing that boss fight, you basically skip the required APDP for the next zone. A lot of people don't know that, and you're missing out on end time shards by being able to start doing an Nymphomare earlier than later, right? You can get extra 10 end time shards just by hopping in and doing that hour grind as well. So that's one of the recommendations that I have, is doing an hour grind of Idania at minimum. Starting to get these is going to really help you make those Dawn Crystal enhancements and amplified Lightstone enhancements that you're going to need later on. The Elezra fight would be another one I highly recommend. However, in order to do Elezra, you need to have completed all of the Ataraxian dungeon main story quests, all the way through Orzekia, which I know some people find tedious, but you can do them solo now, which makes it so much faster. In fact, I think just in case was like skipping over one of his quests and he was redoing it. He redid that quest line like 5 times in one day. So it was not a very long process. It was just annoying because he kept missing part of it. Once you get to Elezra, there's a special load-in option at the Ancient Stone Chamber for the final Gladios or the Red Heart, and then you're gonna get to do that quest. If you do Elezra, it takes about 10 minutes. You really only have to avoid the beams that shoot across the middle. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening. If you're not sure what the fight looks like, please come by my stream on Monday. I will be doing all of these things there, and you guys can kind of see what my weekly quest list is like. Other than that, you're definitely going to want to do your Land of Morning Light solo bosses. And Zeroden brought this up because of the bundles. They give you the Essence of Dawns. They also give you Embers. They give you Thunderbolts, depending on what level you qualify for. Now, he recommends 7+. I know that some of you guys are barely even not qualified for 8. You need to have done the Land of Morning Light storyline in order to even do 1 through 7. Now, the 1 through 7 require managing orbs. I disagree that's legacy. I think this is still relevant for new players. I think it's a detachment thing. So now, after you do the main story quest and you do a Calamity 3 and a Calamity 5, you will unlock the total of 6 orbs, right? You'll get 1 free and you get 5 additional. Now, this basically matches up with the Calamity level. If you have 6 orbs, you could do Calamity 6 fairly easily. Calamity 7 is challenging your stats, and it can be a lot more difficult, which is why I do not recommend 7. 7 will push your patience. If you like challenging yourself, go for it. But if you're just trying to get your 5 done and you don't qualify yet for Calamity 8, I would do up to 6. And then just get your bundles, start getting your rewards. They take very little time. Even at Calamity 5, you're looking at 2 or 3 minutes for a lot of these bosses. So very quick. I mean, that's like 15 minutes max. Even if you're doing Calamity 8 and above, you're still only looking at maybe 30 minutes max. And that's just because of, possible failures, possible, one-shots, glitches, who knows, right? So yeah, I would do Calamity 6 if you don't qualify for 8, and then 8 or above whatever you do qualify for, just get them knocked out, 5 a week. After that, it would be the party bosses. So these are the group ones. They take 5 people. You could do 5 of them a week. The bundles give you, like he said, Reforge Stones, as well as a bunch of other really nice rewards. I usually get tons of Debarekas from these. You get money, you get all kinds of materials that you're going to need, so definitely worth doing. If you're not able to find a group with your guild, there's always the Find Party or Platoon feature. As you can see here, this one's looking for hard mode bosses right here. Someone's looking for Altar of Blood, which I'll bring up here in a minute. Guild bosses, Olins, all kinds of stuff. So don't forget that the party platoon feature exists, and you can try and find people who are doing content that you want to do together. And then the next thing is going to be guild boss subjugations. That's going to be with your guild. At most, it takes about 30 minutes. Most guilds will do just the 4 land bosses. Some will do con. Our guild used to do con pretty regularly, but we kind of stopped because honestly, we went months and months and months without even a single person getting a con part. So I think that they have improved the drop rate, and I have heard that it is still profitable, but it's kind of tedious. So it just depends on your guild and whether they find it worthwhile to get out there and do that one. And then the next would be the weekly Idana grinds. So again, if you qualify for the boss before, you're gonna, like I qualify for Rusalka, so I'm doing Orbita as my weekly grind because I'm getting the most materials out of that 1 hour. If you're not sure about where to grind, say for example, you don't qualify for Idania, right? You're like, well, where do I grind? I hear this a lot of times. I have this AP, this DP, where should I grind? So the place you're gonna wanna look is Garmoth.com, okay? This is the Garmoth.com best grind spots. So for example, here you can type in your total AP, total DP, and then see what place is gonna give you the most money, what drops there. What are the chances of something drop there? So say for example, you check out Dekya Tankuta. You can actually see the average hourly rate for these drops. For example, like I talked about earlier, Embers of Despair, this one is going to give you 6 to 7 embers per hour in the Dekya version, stuff like that. You're like, is it going to give me what I want? Am I willing to exchange average silver per hour for a certain drop? That's some good things to look at with the Garmoth.com grind tracker. And big thanks to the community for always contributing numbers there. I like to keep track of my numbers for myself. As I get gear upgrades, I'm like, am I doing this better? Am I doing this more efficiently? Is this profitable for me? Some classes are gonna have different numbers. So pay attention to yourself and your growth and just see what is making the most of your time in that hour. Next would be Altar of Blood. Depending on your gear, your skill, your group, I think it goes up to 21 right now, or is it 22? So you can go up to 20. Anyways, yeah, that's a good way to you get rewards for each level one time until the last level, and the last level you can repeat weekly. So you can do up to 22, and then you're going to be doing just 22 every week. So you get a group together, you knock it out. Well, it's like 5-10 minutes most. Really easy money. Definitely worth doing. Dungeons. Dungeons recently received a buff, but they have much better drops. They have Cron Stones included, really free enhanced, Deboreka, stuff like that. Doing all 4, if you have a group that knows what they're doing and they know all the bosses, you can knock out all 4 in an hour. Very easy to do. If you can get people who are all just looking to get their profits, then set up a regular activity and just get that knocked out once a week. World bosses, at minimum, you're gonna wanna do 1 Land of Morning Light boss. So that would be Sangoon, Uturi, Golden Pig, Bulgasol, right? Minimum. And then you're gonna wanna do Garmoth and Vel. If you need those, if you need Garmoth Heart or Vel's Heart, do them every opportunity you can. Definitely is if you don't go, you're reducing your own chances of getting those items that you need. So try and maximize the amount of times you can make those. And then lastly on my list here, I have the Olvia Academy weeklies. Now, when you start, if you are new or returning, you want to do Olvia Academy. At the end of Olvia Academy, there's a bulletin board out front. I don't know if I can see it from where I'm standing here. It's this bulletin board up here. Until you graduate, you can pick up the quest from this bulletin board. I can't see it because I'm graduated, I guess. But it'll be right here, and you can select 3 quests to do weekly. Those quests will give you more tokens. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, the Olvia Academy tokens you can exchange for embers, you can exchange them for Kafra stones, Tannis if you're going for your potions, cup crafting, hammers. I mean, all of this stuff, honestly, if you're a new or returning player, all of this is useful, all of it. I think probably the least significant is probably this one, the Desperate Crystal of Origin. Other than that, all of these you'll find some use for, I'm sure. So definitely maximize all of your Olvia Academy coins before you choose to graduate. Other than that, you're gonna wanna check your quest tab, go to reoccurring, and you're gonna be able to check here for items marked weekly, like Slumbering Origin. Did you do your, if you're still trying to grind from that Flame of Despair or Flame of Frost, this would be where you get those repeatables. Are you doing your Garmoth quests? Have you done your weekly, Adania plays? All these stuff is going to be listed in here under weekly, so you can double check. And if you have done it and you're trying to see if you can do it again, you're going to be able to check here and see what the time is remaining. So we did we did our weekly party bosses in Land of Morning Light. I have 4 days until that resets. So if you're not sure if you've done it, you can check here, and you can also see the timer on when it's reset. Something that it's going to be really confusing for you is that weeklies do not reset on the same day. Some reset after maintenance, some reset on Saturdays. So, and I think there's some rare situations where it resets exactly a certain amount of time after you do it, and some that reset on Sundays. It's just best to just double check in your reoccurring menu. If you're still working on your infinite potions, make sure you pick up your weekly grind quests for those areas. If you're still working on the Flame of Despair and Frost, like I said, there's a weekly for those. No matter where you're grinding, always check the Monster Zone info for possible quests you can complete and find the NPC that offers them. So, if, say for example, you're grinding Ash Forest, right? There are no weeklies here that you can do. But say for example, you're doing Bumbling Buccaneers. Here's a repeatable quest you can do from Cliff. If you're doing, let's pick a random other one here, Golden Pig Cave. You know, there's no, thanks your upper. Trying to see where else has quests. Okay, so like Gyphon Temple Underground, 2 repeatable quests. It'll navigate you to where you can pick up those quests as well. So a really handy way to make sure you're maximizing the time in each grind zone. Now, getting into life skilling, there is Imperial Cooking and Alchemy Turn-ins. Those are highly profitable and very easy to do. You can either craft the materials yourself and make the crates, or you can just buy them off the marketplace and make them into crates. Either way, you're gonna make a profit. Honestly, the profit's gonna be much higher if you make them yourself, but even if you just buy the materials and make them into crates, you're gonna make money. It takes about 5 minutes to turn them in. It's very, very easy. The next one is going to be sailing and bartering. A lot of you have probably heard of sailies, a group that goes around on one boat. They hop off, they talk to quest mobs, they let the boat driver do all the sea monster hunting, and they just get all the rewards. There's a lot of groups that go around and do that. There is a life skilling Discord that linked earlier, and there's all kinds of stuff. There's even a guide I found. I'm going to link it in chat for you guys. This is literally a bartering and sailing daily/weekly rotation that you can do to maximize your gains if you don't have a group doing it. If you follow the guide on this website that this person put together, it's super, super great way to knock everything out and maximize your sailing and bartering profits. So check that out if you get a chance to, bookmark it if you need to, but an excellent way for you guys to get involved in sea content. Liana has weekly quests. You'll see it in the recurring tab. She has weekly quests for pretty much every life skill. And you can definitely go through and make sure you knock as many of those out as you need to, get some more secret books of Florin, boost your life skilling experience and mastery. For fishing, you're gonna wanna check out the weekly fishing contest. A lot of people don't know this exists. It's actually kind of a fun little side task. Let's see here, I believe it's the fishing guide, fish guide. Yeah, so pull up your fish guide. In the top right, you'll see Creo here with the weekly fishing contest. If you click that, it'll actually tell you the 3 fishing contest items, and you can kind of get an idea of where they drop. So these people, where they found them, Armo Sea, Banto Sea, right? The rewards are actually really, really great. Even if you're in the top 300, at minimum, I believe that's 100 million, or is that 1 billion? 10,000 G. I think it's something like that. The Essence of Tides make the tidal droughts. What's that? 100 million? Okay, yeah, 100 million. I mean, basically just for fishing. So if you set yourself to AFK fish in any of these spots, the chances that you'll be at least top 300 is very high. There's actually not a ton of people that do these for some reason. But you also get your really good fishing buffs, which you can use for further AFK fishing, not to mention some life skill stuff, and just basically being paid to fish on top of all the money you're already making AFK fishing. So don't forget to check this option out. And it's just a fun little side way to enjoy fishing, which is, I think is really fun personally. Okay, and then training. There are horse training and horse racing. Race info you can find in the Old Moon Grand Prix. There's weekly quests to earn horse enhancement mats. There's also the Stonetail Horse Ranch daily quest to get some ferns, as well as a weekly quest to get some royal ferns. Help you get that tier 10 and then eventually the Krogdalone, right? And then something to note about these is that, again, the reset days are not always clear. So always double check your quest reoccurring tab, see when you did it, how long until it resets, and just stay on top of doing this. Once you make these routine, you can log in. I think I log in on Mondays and knock out pretty much all of my tasks that I have listed in about 2-3 hours. I mean, it depends on how long I want to choose to grind, which is usually 0. But I make a decent amount of money per week, and I put that money into crawling stones. I do my enhancements, and I just, I feel like I can relax and do stuff that I really love about BDO, like questing, like leveling a new character, trying a new class, doing AOS, doing all this other side activity. So just reward yourself, earn that kind of fun task by doing just a regular upkeep. Pretty much everything when it comes to weeklies. If you guys have any questions or any recommendations that you have for stuff you like to complete every week, earn that questing, heck yeah.
I think you pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, you
That's
covered
very
everything
thorough.
We approach them differently, but generally we do the same things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about knocking out the stuff that I can get done quickly and easily. I'm not a big grinding fan. If I can skip that 1 hour grind, I usually do. but for the most part, anything that's less than an hour is doable for me.
I don't grind either. I grind very rarely. I specifically grind when I'm looking for like a drop that I can't get off the marketplace. That's the only time I actually grind. And other than that, I'm one of the most end-geared players in the game. I have all accessories. I have almost all deck weapons. I'm missing one deck weapon, which is at Nav. I'm at Septet armors, and I'm just capped by times.
As you can see, I've done 0 monsters in a whole week. So 68 in 30 days.
I think you also have the next session. Does anyone have anything else they want to add that might help out a new player, or do you guys feel like that was thorough enough? Or any questions you have? I know it's a lot of information, but like those weekly things are how you get rich in BDO, to be honest with you, without having to grind your face off. So when people say like, oh, BDO is a very grindy game, it's not very grindy if you're varying your activities up like this.
So far, as bosses and weeklies, can you do all of those under 300 AP, like Altar of Blood and Idana? So Altar of Blood, I believe it actually shows you the required stats. I think that it would be really challenging at 300 AP. You might be able to do the first ones. It really depends on your team. Like some teams are actually able to carry and compensate for AP differences. So it's more going to be your survivability and how you work together with your teammates. Pit of Undying, you can definitely do a 300 or less. You wouldn't be able to do Idania yet just because you actually wouldn't qualify for that. For shrines, it actually even tells you for like solo, for example, 8 requires 330 minimum for most. I don't think that's the lowest one, right? I think 330 is the lowest one. Yeah. So there's going to be some things that you haven't quite reached, which is why I was trying to hit end game 2 new player, and then making sure that you get all those reached. You can do the Idania storyline out of seasons. I think a lot of people don't realize that. The actual story quest for Idania is very, very, very easy. It's literally just run around. All the mobs are very simple. If anything, they have a lot of HP, but they don't do any damage.
Do we have any other questions for Chris before we start moving into the closeout topics? All right, guys. With that, we're going to move into our closeout additional topics. Give me 1 second to change the title. With all that being said, there's a couple of things I want to go over real fast before we kind of do that. The first thing is going to be the all-in-one UI. What you're going to do is you're going to go to your search and you're typing all-in, like there it is, all-in-one preset. This is your all-in-one preset. You can change your entire loadout, Reforge Stones, crystals, artifacts, your pet group, your auto use of items, and your skill preset all in one, right here. Very, very easy to do. This all-in-one preset is amazing. It lets you swap your entire setup in just a single click. So if I want to go back to my PvP, boom, just that simple. Now all my crystals are my PvP crystals. My fairy buff loadout is my PvP ones. Everything is PvP related, and it's easy to do. The next thing I want to go over is your quick keys. This is something that a lot of people don't know for whatever reason, right? They're called quick keys. These are different than regular hotkeys. Quick keys are where you can set an alt plus a button or 2 buttons together to create a hotkey that will do something. Like for example, if I want to do my all-in-one preset for PvP, it's Alt X, right? Or Alt Z. Those are my all-in-one presets for PvP and PvE. They're done in a single button press. If I want to change my crystal loadouts, look how quick this is. Ready? I have them set for like Alt 9 and 10, right? So Alt 9, boom, I equipped a different crystal set. Alt 10, it's just that simple. And I'll pull up the crystal UI so you can actually see what that looks like. Here's Alt 9, see how it switches immediately? And then Alt 10, right? Boom, switches immediately. If I want to go to my PvE crystals, look at this, right there, just that simple. So you can set up quick keys to do a lot of things for you, to include pull out pet groups. Like let's say I'm grinding and I want to pull out my pet group 1. So I press Alt 1, pet group 1 is out. Group 5, press Alt 5, and you can even hear the pet group changing. Look, here's Alt 2. All done through quick keys. So again, that UI right there, you could type in quick in the search bar and it comes up. Quick hotkeys, and you could just set them for a lot of different things, to include pulling out your mate, you're pulling out your maids, pulling out your, pet groups, deactivating certain things, monster zone info. Lots of things you can add to this. Very, very valuable. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is, give me one second to pull up, your dream and mythical horses. All right. I'm going to show you real quick demonstration through the horses. Different horses do different things, right? You have your fly boy, right? You have your flying Ardronaut. So you guys get at least one for free tier 10, right? This one lets you fly around and do all kinds of cool flight stuff, right? Very handy to have, very useful pet, right? That's great for navigating mountainous terrain. If you're going over water, you're going to want the Dine, right? This is over water or over desert. This lets you move at maximum speed and lets you triple jump, and it has a little slow fall into it, but this horse runs directly on water. It is actually a water runner, so it runs on water and it runs in the desert. So on horse you can use in the desert without any issue. Other than that, you have your Doom horse. This is a fast horse, right? This lets you do a fast horse, and it lets you summon more horses, so you can give horses to your friends. Each one of these horses lets you have 2 seats on it, so you can, like Chris, if you want to get off that horse and show them by getting on this horse, these are 2-seater horses, so like your friends can jump on this horse with you. Very, very useful to have. And then you have your Krogdalo horse. This is a combined. It combines all 3 of these horses into one super horse. So it has the same benefit of all these horses, except all in one. The one thing about the Krogdalo that I will say that you don't get with the other horses is it does not have 2-seater, so that's important to know. You cannot 2-seat this one. However, if you pay attention to my buffs, right, I actually get all 3 Krogdalo buffs from doing that. So I get both the earth, the wind, and the ocean for having one Krogdalo set on my horse equipped, which in this case is the wind. I get all wind, sea, and earth equipped buffs. So that's why Krogdalo is so good. There is two more things to cover with this. You get the whole Krogdalo Sanctuary. This is why you can see I can switching horses on the fly. That's the Krogdalo Sanctuary because I have all the Krogdalo horses. And lastly, we have our lightning horse. This is the Voltarian. This is a horse that you get from doing weekly boss rushes. You get it from Node War and Siege War. You get it from War of the Roses. And you can also get it from doing, what's the guy? Deposed Crown Prince also gives you an additional one. This horse is kind of crazy. It moves way faster than the game allows it to. As you can see, it's like a teleporty ground horse. It's kind of fast, very disorienting if you're using it, but it's super, super fun. Do stuff like this. There we go. This is moving at instant light speed, but you're going to hit loading walls because this horse moves faster than the game really allows it to. So it's pretty amazing. This is by far my favorite looking and favorite riding horse, but for the reasons of the buffs, the Krogdalo, the dad horse, is still the best. So that's horses. Oh, that's not the right horse. Get out of here, horsey. Let me get these horses.
He did just pull out each horse individually and the Krogdalo horse, so you can still use them separately. And as you see, the Doom summons stayed even after you put the Doom away, so you can still maximize how each of them functions and use the Krogdalo horse too. And
the nice thing about the Krogdalo horse too is, like, let's say you're going to Anonymous Arsha, you can put your horse away into the Krogdalo Sanctuary so it doesn't get killed by players and mobs, because there's no defending against that. Like, your horse is always vulnerable in that mode. All right, so outside of horses, there is PvE buffs and PvP buffs. There's some basic buffs you're always going to want to run, no matter what the condition is in PvP, right? You always, always, always run your tent buff, your villa, which is your villa buff, right? You run your church buff, and you're going to run your food buff. Those are basics. Always run those. Other than that, you want your Alchemy Stone. You want one of these 3 house buffs, which is damage. You can also get accuracy and HP, but damage reduction, accuracy, all AP, or you can get evasion or HP. All right, whichever one you want for your purpose, but always run one of these buffs because this is free damage, lasts an hour. You can buy them right off the marketplace, called Blessing of Mystic Beefs. The reason that they're called house buff is because they emulate the furniture buff that you would get in the house.
You can take them with you rather than having to run to your residence to use the buff.
Correct, and they're just available on the marketplace. If they're not available at the moment, you put up pre-order and they will be available. So
there is a life skill one too.
You run all of those in PvE and PvP. For PvP, you're going to run Exquisite Cron Meal. For PvE, you're going to run Simple Cron Meal. Other than that, there's some extra things you should be aware of. Like, for example, right? Well, everyone's very familiar with the Perfume of Deep Sea. You typically run this when you're doing PvP or PvE, right? This is a great PvE percentage-based increase for attack. But if you want to run something in PvP, you're going to want to run the Perfume of Tenacity, which is a slightly upgraded version, which gives you more HP than your basic version. And you get that by using these essences of Caphras, or Caphras essences. You get them from either doing Edania bosses or just you can get them from life skilling. But they're great ways to upgrade that. And you have the same thing as your Perfume of Courage. So you have your Perfume of Courage, right? It gives you 20 AP. Plus, you can have this one, which gives you 5 more AP. So if you're just trying to get to that cap, Perfume of Envy might help you get to that cap if you don't have quite the gear for it. But understand there is an opportunity cost because that does cost about 40 billion silver or 40 million silver a resource. So if it's worth it to you, then get it. All right. I think that pretty much covers all the extraneous stuff. There is one more thing I want to do, which is talk about acquisition versus marketplace. We've been talking about it the whole time. Guys, there's 2 things I want you to pay attention to. Well, before we get into that, let's talk about the immortal drafts while we're on the topic of buffs. Right, we have immortal drafts, which it's like a version of drafts that persist through death. You can get those by using the corrupted elixirs, these corrupted oils of immortality. You can get those from a variety of different ways. They can get grinded from Sakurai. You can get them as weekly rewards in AOS. So this is just another way you can extend the value of buffs. So like this is a version of it, right? Immortal Perfume of Deep. If I end up dying, the buff stays with me. So that's just something to be aware of. All right, now we're going to talk about, again, acquisition versus marketplace, which also ties into the second concept of multiple upgrades at once. You have to conceptualize this. All right, when you're thinking about, hey, I want to grind at, I don't know, Blood Wolves because I really want my infinite potion. You have to think to yourself, do I want to earn 200 million silver an hour at Blood Wolves, or do I want to earn 4 billion silver an hour somewhere else? Right? Because then if you say, if you're going to grind at Blood Wolves for 200 million silver an hour for like 50 hours to get your piece, and you have to go to Shirakan, you have to go everywhere else, it's going to end up being a long time. Versus like, let's say you get your, what's the potion called? It's called like something essence?
Ornette,
yeah. So like, or you can grind somewhere of value to you and just buy it off the marketplace for 13 billion silver. Which is to you worth more your time? Sometimes things are worth silver, and sometimes things are worth money. Or sometimes things are worth grinding, and sometimes things are worth silver. So when you are looking to upgrade your gear, you want to conceptualize multiple things at once. For example, if you need end time shards and herald crystals and silver for enhancement taps, go to Zephyros Castle. You'll get end time shards, you'll get herald crystals, and you'll get silver for upgrading your gear. That is conceptualizing multiple upgrades at once. So don't get caught grinding in a lower spot because you want the drop instead of just buying it and saving your time and buying back your time to then upgrade something somewhere else. Right? There's always a way to make that happen for yourself. So just something to keep in mind. You got to conceptualize your upgrades. Think about things separately. Is it easier for me to buy my pen Deboreka to get a Nav Karazad, or because I'm already at Sept Karazad, or is it easier to start from fresh, right? Like you have to conceptualize.
So like I was saying about the Dawn's Gloves, for example, in order to get the Embers of Hungik, they're kind of time gated behind doing boss blitzes and all this stuff, but you can just buy the flame outright for 400 million and be done with it and move on to the next thing. It's going to cost you money, but overall you're going to be making more money in that time saved.
We're about to rapid fire read off all the follows to thank everybody who followed us. So thank you, Zach. If I messed your name up, it's on you for having a bad name. The Kaiser, Trooper, Function, Chuklai, Reaping Beauty, Digital Grizzly, My Love, Quasimodo, Captain. I'm not reading that last one. Something Block. I'm not saying the first part. Nocturnal Horse. He also subscribed. That's crazy. I can't read it. I can't read that out loud. Rika, thank you so much. Kachelos, Infinite Lynn, Eris Levane, Dodzy, Imaishi, Henzen. Oh my goodness, there's so many. Lucky Ducky, Holodeck, Get Jellet Twitch, Vernal, Loki, Rectal every time, dude. Rectal, Mashiro, Junath, Monkey Breezy, Jackal Gray, Mini Nerds, and Arsarai and Pure Nastama. Let's see who else. Who else followed? Perseus, Hikaru, Cappy, Buck Loco, Clayton, Felio, Homelander, the nice guy. What's wild? Tone Lock, Zosama, Tygon, Deadly X Cloud, Dark. Thank you guys all for the follows, man. I appreciate you guys. I hope you had a great time. We are going to raid out. I know exactly who we're going to raid. We haven't raided this guy before, but he has raided me before, so we're going to give him a little bit of love. Guys, everyone that was here today, once again, I thank you guys. I wish you guys the best. I'll be back on Monday. So without any further ado, we're going to raid King Hugo. All right, guys. Have a great night, guys. God bless, and I'll see you guys on my next adventure. Thank you all again for participating in the event. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.